Story Squires to Storylords, the prompt-based fiction podcast with 2 prompts, 3 stories, and if you're lucky, infinite laughter. But maybe not at Jeff's story, because he said it wasn't good. It wasn't funny. No, you didn't say it wasn't good.
What a hellish way to die.
I'm Rich, and with me as always is Josh.
Hey, I wrote a story, I think.
And Jeff.
Look, I actually wrote a story this time. I apologize for last time. I wasn't prepared.
I don't apologize.
Yeah, you guys were really fucking behind the 8 ball. I had to really, lay into you.
Yeah. We almost got fired that time, but then we realized that Josh doesn't have any power. My story isn't shitty. I don't know why Rich said that to you guys.
No.
I'm just prepping him.
Well, maybe it is, actually. We'll find out. We'll find out together, I think.
That's what this show is all about. Finding out together.
Walking around and finding out together.
Yeah. Which is what society's about now.
Yay!
Our prompts this week were Armourers and action figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, thanks for whoever gave those.
Who was it? Do we remember?
Nah. Hold on. Yes, I do, actually.
I'm going to say Malonite.
Armourers was Hoobalus, so Hoobie.
Okay.
And action figures was Weird Man, 3214.
Living up to that name.
Do I have to have seen the Weird Men 320 whatever? Before?
Yes.
Let's
Stop recording.
Can we start the show over?
Yeah, can we start life over?
Josh is not feeling his best today. if you can hear it in his voice.
I took drugs. Okay?
We're just going to leave it there.
Prescribed drugs.
I learned it from watching you.
This is your head on migraine medicine.
Did I ever tell you guys how I went, searching for who those actors were in that PSA? And
and you couldn't find them.
You can't find them.
Isn't the dad the Micro Machines guy? He looks just like him.
No, but it does look like him.
Well, that was a good anecdote.
It's great. I feel like this is the way the episode is going to be.
This is indicative of my story this week. All right.
Great segue.
First, right?
Great segue.
Okay. My story is called T-Bone Tuesday, apparently.
Josh wrote this story for some reason a month ago, so...
It feels like it. All right, here we go. Where are you going, giant insect warrior? King Darren yelled over the battlefield. The giant leech lay in the afternoon sun, still horking Blork out of its body cavity where Axe Wound had shot out of its stomach like I shot into your mama's stomach last night.
Hey.
We're back.
Sorry, Your Highness, but I was looking forward to sampling your kingdom's various bitch meats. Now, if you'll excuse me, Dan said, as he turned around. My friend! Come, speak with your king, the king demanded. Ugh! Both Dan and Ugla sighed, dropping their arms and rolling their eyes and heads around wet, hot American summerly. Oh my god.
What a cultural reference.
It's timely. Here we go. Now.
Seamless.
I'm so high. Shut up. This is so dumb. Now, you aren't from around here, are you, my good man? The king asked the group of adventurers. What is that supposed to mean? Dance said defensively. We are not, Your Highness, Ugla said with a small bow. She had dealt with lords and ladies enough to know the etiquette of pompous royal douchebaggery. We are from the north, she said with an inflection. Ah, yes, that explains your motley assortment of strange and fragrant companions, the king said. He sniffed the air near Squib and curled his nose upward. Why, thank you, your majesticness, Squib said proudly, as stink lines poured off of him somehow. Poured off of his somehow alive, rotting ass carcass. Father, oh my, it's good to see you, Beef Wellington said as he tripped over some viscera of leech. He grabbed at his royal cloak and tugged it free from a glob of orange goob, nice, as he stumbled forward to greet his father. Ugh. Son, the king sighed. Beef made his way to the group slowly as he slipped and tripped over almost every crater and body part. Axe cast a yakety sax spell and laughed and with Dant as Beef struggled to make his way over to them. Father, I welcome you home, Beef said out of breath. And what have you been doing this whole time, my son? The king asked accusingly. Will ya? Well, these ruffians were on trial for something I don't remember, probably from all the PTSDs I just got from this foul creature, which, if you ask me, is probably their pet or something, Beef rambled on. Their pet, huh? The king said, scowling at his idiot son. Or...
PTSDs is actually correct.
Yeah, PTSDs.
Post-traumatic stress disorders. Wow.
He's got so many disorders.
Josh is so smart on drugs.
They don't call it D they don't have the D anymore because it's not a disorder. It's like a natural, reaction mentally to that. So anyway, whatever.
Look, we're all disordered.
Look.
Yeah.
Look, I'm high as fuck. Don't listen to me. Their pet, huh? The king said, scowling at his idiot son. Or they summoned it to ingratiate themselves to you and save the kingdom. 9 Elvin was an inside job. 9 Elvin was an inside job, he screamed into the distance. Is that like a date or? Yeah, I have no idea. Ugla said. I thought you said you were going to find the Lich, Father, Beef said, trying to change the subject. Leech, my boy, King Darren said firmly. I have no idea what a Lich is. I specifically said leech. Your hearing is as good as your mother's. God rest her deaf-ass, dead-ass soul, the king said. And what have you been doing to help secure the kingdom while I was fighting the Leech? Huh? I will show you, Beef said with a toothy grin. Yes, you will. And until then, why don't we talk and walk with my new friends and heroes of Old Grawl? The king shouted. In the distance, soldiers cheered and whooped like Arsenio Hall because this was the past and they still did that stuff.
They traveled back to the past of 1991.
Damn, what a fucking ancient and majestic time.
Banjo-Kazooie hasn't even come out yet.
But Milli Vanilli did.
That's how we tell time.
Yeah.
The Milli Vanilli to Banjo-Kazooie timeline.
It's an epoch.
Back when things were good.
Well, somewhat better.
Yeah.
After a short walk, the king and his group entered the city proper. All around, people cheered for him and bowed in reverence. Ugly even thought she heard a few people shouting, "Oh, thank fuck, the king is back!" And, "We're saved from the prince! Saved from the prince's moronic stupidity!" And, "Holy shit, we made it! We made it out of the dark times! I'm gonna go home and put a baby in my wife's back butt and drink an entire bottle of tequila, and then I'm gonna do all the things I ever wanted to do because life's too short, you know, man."
Oh, I know.
Game over, man.
Game over, man. "As you see, Father, your subjects are pleased to see you," Beef said, waving to nobody and pretending to be popular. "And you arrived just in time for T-Bone Tuesday." What in God's name is T-Bone Tuesday, the king sighed. "Well, at noon we have a steak parade, followed by the piñata competition, where meat comes out of the piñata. And then after that we all go to church and pray to the Flesh Lord, Prime Zegi, for an abundance of the meat harvest."
And what is wrong with all of this?
I mean, this sounds like the most realistic religion I've ever heard.
That's more real than some of them.
Look, I love a flesh god.
Christianity.
I love a flesh god.
Flesh lord.
Light.
Along the side of the street, little kids were blindfolded and wailing away on what appeared to be real-life animals. Chicken feathers flew everywhere, as well as just parts of cows dripping with blood. Those look like real animals, Squib said, hiding behind Ugla. Frickin' metal, Axe said, almost salivating. Pinata! It's French, Beef said confidently.
France is canonically part of Daranos. We have settled that before.
Yep.
Old France. Ye old France. Get your officially licensed Prince Beef Wellington action figures here! Collectible as hell! Get your figures here! A street vendor shouted. The king and his entourage made their way over to the vendor as the king picked up a shoddily made likeness of his disappointment of a son. On the side, he pushed a small button, which made the figure's eyes light up and say, "I'll beef back!" The king looked at his son, who was smiling wide, and shook his head. Push it again, father, he encouraged. The king pushed the button a second time, which made the eyes light up, but this time it said, "Got any beef?" In a somehow more annoying voice than the regular Beef Wellington voice. Ugh, action figure collectors, Axe said with a chill up her spine. Yeah, those guys are fucking weirdos, Squib said, getting in on the dunk fest.
Self-own.
I mean, I've seduced and sexed up a lot of foul and disgusting creatures in my time, but I don't think I'd ever let an action figure collector touch me, let alone slither into my ham wallet, Axe said, still dripping with orange blork from the leech. For once, I think we agree on something, red whore, Dance said. There are plenty of other things to silence the voices in that giant truck outside.
This dunk fest is still going.
There are plenty of other things to silence the voices in your head, you know? Like drink Catquila, or like join a gym. Maybe write a story for a storytelling podcast you do with your friends that you've been putting off. But action figures makes my exoskeleton crawl. And let's not even talk about those who make their own action figures, the Red Queen said, surprising everyone around. What? They're fucking weirdos, she said, as she looked directly into the camera and then at Beef Wellington.
Fucking hell.
Self-own.
Oh no, everyone watch out! It's the Meat Grinch! A booming voice came from up ahead.
Were you high when you were writing this?
Suddenly, a badly dressed mascot dressed in a fabric T-bone scurried through the crowd, shouting and grabbing people. "Gimme your meat! I'm the Meat Grinch!" she said annoyingly.
I've got a new favorite character.
Back at the castle, workers were already shoring up the giant hole left by the leech. Workers were hacking up the corpse as the king and his new friends entered the throne room. The king climbed the stairs to his throne with his son, who awkwardly tried to sit in the seat as his father just sighed and shook his head. Now you say you're from the future? That's neat, the king said. Yes, your majesty. We've been tasked to find someone here for a friend of sorts, Ugla said nervously. Ah, yes. Heroes such as yourselves certainly want to keep their promises, especially to friends. You are what the dream of Daranos is all about, after all. Heroes battling through time itself to defeat an unseen evil who must never be tolerated, the king said remarkably eloquently.
How did he know that?
It's a cut to. They explained it.
Oh, okay.
He's got that Adam Frankenstein disease of knowing everything that he shouldn't know.
He was nice.
They don't call it a disorder anymore.
It's a natural thing. Wow, Squib said, tearing up. King Darren said we're heroes. Not so much you, stink rat, he replied. Aww, Squib said, tearing up again, but for a different reason. I jest, young flesh mutant, the king said, winking at Squib. You and your friends have done my kingdom a service I can never repay fully. Not only have you defeated the very leech my army has sought for weeks, but you survived my idiot son's inquisition, which I assume was as pointless as it was stupid. Kind of like podcasting, Darren said.
It's fucking fear and self-loathing and troll.
This was before he got the medicine.
This is before the medicine. Still better than collecting figs, Axe said, as the whole throne room laughed. In honor of your service to me, and as reparations for having to deal with this abject disappointment of an offspring, I hereby grant you the full armor of King Darren, made from adamantite, and forged below Grawl in the cave of eternal metal. Huzzah! The workers shouted as they worked.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! Ah, sick! We're gonna get adamantium? I'm gonna get claws and go all snick, snick, clank, Squib said, as he did karate moves and swung his hands like Wolverine. No, adamantium? What is that? That sounds made up as hell, the king said. No, adamantite. It's strong and light, flexible and breathable, and looks good with almost any type of weapon. I wore mine the night I fathered this bastard over here. He pointed to Beef. After some time traversing down into the cellars, past the wine casks, and past the mummies and skeletons and stuff, the gang finally arrived at an ancient wooden door. Behind, they could hear gears and whirring and the clang of metal hitting metal. Should we knock? Ugla said to Axe. No need, enter. A droning voice came from behind the door. As they entered, the heat of the... As they entered, the heat of the forge hit them in the face. Any sweat they had excreted during the long walk down the stairs, it was instantly flash fried off their faces.
Oh, shit.
You know, it's not so bad. It's a dry heat, Squib said annoyingly, like anyone who has ever said that stupid-ass colloquial verbal shit stain. One good thing about it, though, is you automatically know the extent of a person's mental acuity. Yeah, it's a dry heat. About as dry as you make bitches' coochies when you say something stupid like that. Or really anything. Idiot.
It's a dry cooch.
It's not so bad.
This is a hit piece. You're taking down everybody, even yourself.
I got lots of stuff to say. Where was I? Oh. Hello, Iron Clank, said the hollow tinny voice. From behind a vat of something steaming trundled a barrel-shaped automaton. His eyes glowed yellow and appeared to be situated on top of a metal barrel. Below him, he moved on two tank treads. Oh, wow, an automabot, Ugla said, gasping. I thought these guys were a myth. This thing's gonna make us armor? Dan said, almost disappointed. I am more than capable of making protective casings for meat sacks, Clank said, whirring his mechano head around, looking at each of the gang. In your case, insectoid features will be a welcome change to the humanoid form. They all look the same if you ask me, Clank said.
What? Wow. Calling him Clank is like calling somebody just the first part of a racial slur for what they are, isn't it?
Yeah, Clank will be a racial slur in 20 years. Guaranteed.
Clankers.
Don't get us cancelled in 20 years, guys.
Look, I'm nice to Marty at the grocery store,
Look,
so I'm good. I'm safe.
I fucking hate clankers. Everybody knows this about me.
Well, you are a clone trooper. What? Ugla said, surprised. I am kidding, Clank retorted. I am all alone down here, so any interaction with others is strange for me. I will try to make more jokes that make you feel at ease instead of making you think I am some kind of ignorant moron, he said as his eyes fixed on Squib.
Good job.
Why is he looking at me? Squib whispered to Ugla. Please take a seat while the montage plays. Clank said, picking up a hammer. What? Axe said, laughing. Cut to! A montage of metalworking scenes plays out as Clank hammers metal into shape. Dragula plays as Clank squelches a piece of molten armor into some hot oil. He wipes sweat from his brow as his eyes light up. Axewound taps his shoulder and moves to the other side as Clank looks confusingly for who tapped him on the shoulder. Axewound laughs as Clank shakes his head. Okay, enough of that, Clank said, holding up a full piece of armor. I made your armor to not only fit your physical form, but your personalities as well. I guess you could say the curtains will match the drapes, Clank said, gyrating in amusement.
Could say that. You shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think you got that one right, Axe said, already fitting into her form-fitting, almost covering nothing armor. Don't worry. When they make the action figure of her, she'll still have her double donkalicious chest cannons. That's a personal note for when I make the figure.
The armor is literally just the armor is literally just like the fucking corset part. It doesn't cover anything.
It just makes the boobs come up. Yeah. Maybe there's pasties. I don't know. We'll see what.
Probably not. Probably not.
Dan and the Red Queen had their own armor. Each segment of their body was covered in shiny new adamantite, along with a flexible layer of adamantite chainmail covering up their joints of their arms. Dant felt the fit on his back of his neck and fingered a small switch. What does this thing do? He thought out loud. As he flipped it, a mask and goggles covered his compound eyes, along with a sick-ass helmet that Iron Man'd all over his head. It was fucking sick.
I imagine the Iron Man armor goes over the mandibles as well.
Yeah. That's fucking sick, he said to himself. Squib, too, had his own little armor, complete with an armored cloak, which he sashayed around in like a pretty princess. Ugla stood alone looking down at her armor, which was much skimpier than she had hoped for. Mr. Robot, are you sure you didn't make 2 of Axewound's armor? She said. I never make a mistake. Are you unhappy with your armor? If so, please send a review to www. I don't give a fucking fuck. Fuck you.
They know about our website.
They do. Ugla looked down at what could only be described as lingerie. It was complete with chainmail stockings and a metal adamantite garters. Is this crotchless? She said, feeling it in her fingers. You are a wizard, are you not? Clank asked. Yes, but, Clank repeated, making fun of her. As a wizard, you are limited in what armor class you can wear while wielding your magics. But of course you know this, right? That's stupid, Ugla said, picking up the panties of the armor. And this is crotchless. Below the garter armor and chainmail panties, a clear crotch hole could be seen. You humans do pee, right? Clank asked. Or maybe you are one of those not waste-excreting monkey men who efficiently reuse all of your own waste matter and create your own internal energy. Oh, wait, that is what I do. Sucks to be you.
Wow, Clank is just a real asshole, isn't he?
I mean, but he's got a point.
Yeah, he does.
He's got a point.
Does he?
I've never...
She needs to pee.
You can take it off.
No, it'd be difficult taking off that armor in battle, right?
Yeah,
you gotta doff it. It takes a whole turn. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, you just piss. You got a piss hole. You just piss out.
You can't pull a steel thong to one side and piss, can you?
Maybe you can.
No, that's true.
Not with that attitude. I've never heard of this stupid rule. I won't wear this, Ugla said, throwing the armor down. Prude, Axe said, standing in her, what basically amounted to her in her underwear. It's like if you put a fork into a microwave, the power generated by your magic will cook you from the inside out. It might look cool as hell, but you also want to be able to survive your spells, especially your lightning magic. I don't know what most of those words mean, but why does Axe get more armor than me? I mean, admittedly, it's still skimpy as hell, but you are using more forms of magic, so I limited the amount of armor based on that. She also has crotchless panties on, if that makes you feel better. It does for me, Squib said hornily. You can wear this as undergarments. Think of it this way. You never have to wash your underwear again, Clank said, with what Ugla thought was a smile, even though he had no mouth. I wish you well on your journey, my friends, King Darren said as the newly armored and loaded fellowship were now headed off to the mountains. Ugla picked a wedgie out of her ass through her cloak as Axe... Oh, it sucks, right? As Axe smiled and shook her head. May your journey be free of hardship, and may you find... The king went on, but he was interrupted by a loud, booming voice. Ladies and gentlemen, watch your meat sacks! The meat Grinch is loose again!
Oh no, and they've got crotchless underwear.
Said as the meat Grinch came shambling out, hunched over, doing his catchphrases. The king said.
Doing his catchphrases.
Eventually, they reached a rocky clearing some ways up the mountain, up to the north. Squib dropped his pack with a grunt. It was the size of a kindergartner's backpack, but for Squib, it was a hefty weight. Squib, we can't stop here, Ugla said to him. Come on, Uggs, I'm dying here. I'm not used to carrying all this armor and all these potatoes I stole from the kitchen, Squib whined. This is a textbook place for, Ugla went on, but she was interrupted. For an ambush, a slim but muscular orc said as he stood in the path of the party. Behind him, a ragtag crew of various beings stood, waving clubs and knives and sword. One guy was even swinging around a full dining room table set, complete with the leaf in the middle.
What?
You know, the things that make the table bigger, they're called leaves.
Oh. Am I stupid?
No, you
just don't have a dining room table.
I don't.
Yeah.
Why would anyone know that except Rich and I? It's dumb.
Because we're older. That's why.
That's right. Because we probably
You're like 3 years older than me.
It's a difference, Jeff.
Your parents or your grandparents were like, "Get the leaf,
Yeah,
Rich.
it's Christmas.
Yep.
Get the leaves.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
My family, I will say my family is dirt fucking poor, so that probably has something to do with it.
You ate around a steel burning drum.
we ate at regular tables that had been brought from other people's houses.
Made of steel drums.
Doo-wop songs.
Well, there was a fire in it to keep us warm.
Yeah, of course. It's just multifunctional.
Yeah. Come on, guys, Ugla said, sighing. You don't want to do this. I'm pretty sure we do. It's kind of our thing, the orc leader said. But as soon as he finished, a thundercrack of lightning hit the ground in front of him. Oh shit, scatter! The orc yelled. Let's get the hell out of here, Skeleman Wood said as he fled with his bony might. Nice shot, Uggs, Squib said. It wasn't... I didn't do that, she said to them. Why, hello there, a familiar voice said. There on the rock was Reese's the Wise. Oh, for the love of fuck, Axe said. To be continued.
Reese's actually doing a spell that did something good. Wow.
I don't think he meant to do it. Do it.
He was just doing a bug zapper spell, and it got out of hand.
I love that guy. When do we get a sad, pathetic action figure of him that I can have?
I don't know. Whenever they get done molding my likeness.
When you push the button on his back, he just does a slow, creaky fart.
When you press the button on his back, he says, "Where was I?"
Migraine medicine.
I'm high on pills.
Don't feed
prescription drugs.
Don't feed me chocolate.
That was. Nah, but seriously, that was a fun little interlude.
That was good.
I love the Meat Grinch. I can't wait for him to come back and we learn more about his deal.
Meat Grinch? Yeah, Meat Grinch is gonna come back. You know he will.
He said...
What if it's like Daranos' Rudolph, it just stuck around, right?
Well, I was going to say it's like Daranos' cryptid. Like the Meat Grinch.
Yeah, or that, yeah.
I was gonna
Is
say,
Rudolph a cryptid? I feel
Yeah,
like Rudolph could be
probably.
a
He
cryptid.
probably
I was
classifies,
gonna say
right?
at the end of the episode, it cuts back to the meat Grinch capering around, and then he looks directly at the camera, and his eyes turn gold, and then he goes dun dun dun.
It's the end of fucking Thriller. That's fucking.
Vincent Price laughs.
But it's Reese. But it's Reese's.
Oh man, that was good.
Writing horror into your setting now.
That was fun because I don't remember like 90% of that. So
Yeah, you were laughing at your own
experiencing it
stuff.
with us.
yeah, some of it was pretty funny. I guess I don't know.
It was good. Oh man,
Being high on prescription drugs has really changed the way I view this.
perhaps you should be high every episode.
You know what? That sounds like a good idea.
Nothing could go wrong there. Nothing
Why not?
at all.
At least I don't get headaches no more.
That's true. Right.
You're making a lot of really great sounds in this episode, Josh. I want you to know that.
Who needs a
enjoying it a lot.
soundboard?
I don't even really know I'm doing it, so that's fun.
It's good. It's good.
This is gonna. I gotta go shopping later. Oh man.
Oh God.
You think they're gonna let me?
You're gonna come back with like chocolate popsicles and like a half a loaf of bread. Where'd the rest of it
Dude,
go?
here's what I did the other day when I got these pills. Right, I got 2 Reese's peanut butter cups and a Take 5, and I ate them in one sitting.
Were you testing them?
Yeah, I wanted to see if I could do it.
Did
I
it
wanted
work?
To see what would happen. Yeah, it was fine. It's
God
crazy.
damn, this dude's
That's
invincible
crazy.
now.
It's fucking insane, man.
Although he hasn't eaten chocolate for so long, he's going to fall off the wagon in a big way.
I'm gonna fucking be like, just like have like a chocolate milkshake mustache and just be on the floor like David Hasselhoff eating the cheeseburger when he was an alcoholic.
In what world did Josh ever slow down on chocolate? Is
That's
my
true.
question.
But now he's going to be like Josh Gustus Gloop.
Yeah, I'm gonna get stuck in a fucking circumscribed tube of chocolate.
Beautiful way to go, man.
Let's take a break and we'll be right back with part 2.
This shit ain't final.
Welcome back, Squires. I nearly put the headphones on my mic arm rather than my head. That's the
That
sort of
doesn't help
tiredness.
you.
That's the sort of tiredness I'm experiencing right now.
Do you want?
You keep the money, Arnold.
Is that Hey Arnold?
Yeah, it's Mr. Kakashka from Hey Arnold.
What about Stoop Kid?
I pet the kitty.
My story this week.
I didn't take any drugs, by the way, everybody.
He's high on life.
Maybe you should have.
Probably.
My story this week is called The Doll Maker, a Dukes of Lead adventure.
The doll maker or the dull maker?
The doll maker.
doll.
Yes, doll.
Doll?
DOLL.
Learn how to speak English. God damn.
Yeah, didn't you guys invent that fucking shit?
Yeah, until you started bastardizing it.
Yeah, but guess what? Bastards rule and English people drool. So
I'm not sure. I'm not sure they do. I think bastards typically don't rule and get sent somewhere
Read your
else.
story.
The blacksmith shop was the kind of dingy place where even cockroaches refused to crawl unless they owed money or had the promise of some sweet cockroach bumping uglies.
Oh,
what?
God.
It was 2 rooms, a sagging thatch roof, dust clinging to every surface like a drunk to his ex's Facebook page. The place was called He Who Smelt It, though whether that name...
That's fucking amazing.
Really good.
Though whether that name gave off the vibes of professionally made armour was anyone's guess. The apprentice, a wiry little man with a cybernetic eyepiece and all the integrity of a sexed-up grocery bag used as a condom, shuffled about with a...
What are you doing with... How... What are they teaching you in school about condoms?
They're not. They don't teach sex ed.
That makes sense.
Shuffled about with a soot-blackened rag that hadn't seen soap since the dawn of Christ. That second dawn, he came back but fucked off to Spacelantic City to play slots once he took one look at how fucking stupid everyone had become.
God damn.
Good call, Jesus, too.
Good job, Jeez.
Jeez, his second name's Louise. The apprentice didn't have a name, at least not one anyone cared to use. People just called him Prentice, and that seemed to do the trick. He locked the front door with the ceremonial grunt of a man who had survived yet another day but somehow was mad about still being alive, or as I like to call it, the Josh Henderson.
Oh, that's so true, though.
Except for today.
It's a relatable feeling.
I feel great. I'm ready to fucking take on the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Behind him, the empty stalls and his master's spittoon seemed to sigh with relief. Closing time in a nowhere town was meant to be peaceful. Maybe pour yourself a nightcap, stroke your moustache if you had one, dream of a better life you'd never get. But instead, the door flew open as the lock splintered off the wooden frame. 3 men barged in, each uglier than the last, like the finals of a Miss Universe.
Storylords.
Like a Miss Universe competition no one wanted to judge in Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, man. Suck my dick, Jackson, Mississippi.
They dressed in the kind of outlaw chic that said, "We failed theatre school, but still managed to get a non-speaking bit part in a Yellowstone spin-off."
God.
So specific.
That is highly specific. It put me right there. I knew who he was talking about.
The leader wore a jacket covered in rhinestones sharp enough to make Freddie Mercury wince with distaste. The second was built like a boiled ham stuffed into leather trousers. And the third had the unmistakable look of a man who'd been hit in the face too many times by a debeautifier, or as I like to call it, a shovel, or your mother's makeup brush.
Damn, got her.
Fuck you, mother.
"Evening, Prentice," said the leader. His teeth were the colour of old parchment and arranged in his mouth like a game of back alley Jenga with meth on the line.
That's how they got there, the meth.
The apprentice gave them his best, least piss-pants smile. Sorry, boys. Afraid we're closed. Come back tomorrow, sale day. Price is almost as criminal as your fine selves." "That's a shame," the leader said, "'cause we here for crime tonight." He leaned on a display case. "See, we's in the market for some armour from your fine self. Gratis, of course. My ham-faced friend here wants a breastplate fitted to his rotund frame. Ugly Pete needs a metal mask because, well, look at him. When he was born, the doctor slapped his mama's ass for dropping the town's dating profile rating by 3 stars.
Damn.
Wow.
She liked it.
And me, well, I want a metal card piece that makes my already giant wiener look bigger. I mean, it's already giant. I just want a little extra. Ain't that right, boys?"
Yeah.
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 The two bandits next to him looks at their feet. Sure, boss. Huge it is. The apprentice fluttered his hands like a pigeon voguing. "Gentlemen, I'd love to oblige, but you've picked the wrong place. Armour here is made to order, so there's now to steal. None, nada. I've even been recycling the armour repairs while you wait coffee from the spittoons and the urinals since May.
Oh, Jesus.
That's so fucking disgusting.
Rich.
The only thing of value here is my boyish charm and good looks, and that depreciated years ago, sadly. Boiled Ham cracked his knuckles. Then I suppose we depreciate your ass. The other two looked at him with stink eyes. Meant we'd beat on him, not have sex with him. No homo. The ugly Pete, who wore a squint like it was hay fever season at Elton John's funeral, growled. I want to kill him. It gives me as warm a feeling in my tum as when my mama and my sister used to tell me I was purdy. The leader spat jealously.
That's sad. You're making me sad now.
You had your mama and sister compliment you on your looks? Same person, boss. The leader nodded contently as the apprentice went paler than a goth in a snowstorm. Look here, fellas. Ain't no need for violence. But before he could offer them up the family silver, a fork with one prong left, the saloon doors creaked open again, a gust of wind licking at the candles and threatening to stuff them out faster than 5 seconds of Google research snuffs out sympathy for right-wing Hitler Youth leader assassinations.
Who are you referencing, I wonder?
I don't know.
Seems quite specific for some reason.
Interesting. I'll look that up.
In walked a stranger. I've put boots first. How the fuck else do you walk in?
I mean,
this is some good writing. Just in general.
Is that how you walk in? Boots first? I mean,
Did he hop in with both of them?
Yeah.
Anyway, boots first, dusty, spurred, the sound echoing like the resonance of billiard balls, or a normal-sized peanut down your mother's echoing, bat-infested meat cavern.
Oh.
Yeah. That sounds like billiard balls.
Then a poncho, frayed at the edges, hanging heavy with travel, a wide-brimmed hat shadowing the face, and for a moment the whole room froze. The only sound was Boiled Ham swallowing harder than your mother swallowing your trillions of potential step-siblings every night.
Jesus Christ, she got stuck in the fucking dryer.
But ass first.
She got stuck in
Boots first.
She got stuck in the window, so he was getting it from both sides.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you? The leader demanded. The stranger didn't answer, not with words. Instead, they took a step forward, letting the poncho fall just enough to reveal a golden sigil sewn into the fabric. The light caught it, gleaming like the Grim Reaper's name badge from that time he did retail.
That's awesome.
A ball with a gun belt and a shotgun engraved into the metal. The apprentice's heart skipped. He knew that mark. Everyone with a pulse and a proclivity for shadiness did. It was the old crest of the Dukes of Lead. Peacekeepers, lawbringers, big swinging-dicked heroes of the 7 sectors. All long dead. The leader sneered. What? You some kind of cosplayer, butch cuntsity.
Whoa!
Got him.
Old Western telegram flash. The Dukes are worm shit. And unless you want to join them, you'd best. That's when the stranger moved. Fast. Too fast. One moment they were still, the next they were a whirlwind of hands and steel and justice as they reached for their gun belt. Boiled Ham lunged, raising a cleaver the size of a small canoe. The stranger sidestepped, flicked their wrist, and used a small silver disc to magnetise the metal cleaver. As the knife flew out of his hands and embedded itself into the metal ceiling, the Duke kicked the man straight in the ball seam. Suddenly...
Oh, God, that's terrible. It's like when you fall on your bike.
Suddenly, Ham was holding nothing but air and a dumbass look on his snouty face. The Duke pressed a button, and as the magnet reversed polarity, it propelled the cleaver away from the metal ceiling and straight back down into Ham's face. His weapon clanged to the floor, and a heartbeat later, so did the front of his face, cleaved away from the rest of his head. He fell.
Looks like Ham's back on the menu, boys.
He fell down dead, what was left of his visage plopping onto the floorboards like discarded lunch meat. Ugly Pete charged with a broken bottle. The stranger spun, caught him by the collar, and used his momentum to slam him into the apprentice's anvil so hard he left a man-shaped dent in the steel.
Oh my god, that's like physically impossible.
He slumped, dazed, and fell to the floor, his face somehow less ugly, even though it was caved in. The Duke stepped on the glass. The Duke's...
He hit an anvil and left a print. He's dazed.
He's had a lot of work done. Cybernetic work done. The Duke stepped on the hand holding the glass bottle with a heavy heel, glass crunching and making a pulp of his jacking off arm.
Oh no.
Ugly Pete groaned something that sounded suspiciously like mother and started crawling towards the door, only to receive a shot of hot plasma in the back. The leader was smarter. He drew a gun, pointing it straight at the stranger's groin. "One move and I'll make a woman of you, stranger." The Duke tilted their head, amused. Then they looped their foot under a chair and kicked it at the boss. It smashed against the leader's shins, making him yelp like Andrew Tate's defence attorney every time the Chinless Wonder opens his fucking mouth.
Chinless Wonder.
Before he could recover, the stranger disarmed him with a single twirl, taking the bullet chamber out of the gun, wedging it in the man's open mouth. With a brutal backhanded pistol butt, the Duke smashed the bullets, setting them all off and creating a crater wider than your mother's legs after a fake Louis Vuitton gift and a promise to stay the night one day.
One day.
What was left of them...
Not tonight.
Well, I've got work in the morning.
Don't have a toothbrush here.
What was left of the man collapsed to the floor. Silence. The apprentice's eyes were wide as dinner plates. He looked at the three bodies sprawled across the shop, then at the stranger, who calmly adjusted the poncho. Up close, the golden sigil was unmistakable. "Holy shit," he whispered. "You are one of them." The stranger finally spoke, a voice low, steady, with just a hint of mockery, and a voice that was certainly not male. "Name's Calandra Graves, widow of Grissom Graves, last Duke elect." The man swallowed.
The hell?
His throat...
Grissom fucks?
His throat suddenly desert dry. He'd heard the stories, he'd read the comics, he had all the action figures, including the Grissom one that said, "Get fucked, metal shithole," when you pressed his belt buckle.
Got any bullets?
He'd seen the gradual diminishing returns of the movie franchise. Everyone had. But to see the crest with his own eyes, to hear that name again... "Well, thanks for your help," Stranger Apprentice muttered. "They may have been stupid, but they meant harm all right." "They were desperate," Calandra smirked. "That sort of stupidity can be dangerous. Believe me, flat earthers, anti-vaxxers, Taylor Swift fans. Did you hear her last album? I didn't realise CTE could be sexually transmitted."
Oh my god! Wow! Holy shit! Was that the joke? Was that the one?
Yeah, that was.
I had to applaud you for that one. God damn.
That was really good.
He forced a smile, desperate to hide the sweat on his brow. "So, what brings a duke out to the ass end of nowhere?" Calandra's eyes narrowed, the corner of her mouth twitching like she might laugh or kill him. "That," she said, "requires about 10 more pages of explanation."
Oh my god.
Let me get my pillow and my blankie.
Just putting the lights down here.
The throne room hub of BD-800 was built to make visitors feel small. Mission accomplished. Imagine a cathedral to the artificial, to chrome and neon, as cold and fake as your dad's love for you. Vaulted Vaulted ceilings vanished into chemical ozone haze. Glass tubes pulsed blue, hissing like the place had asthma. And in the middle, perched on an obsidian dais like a spider at the centre of a very expensive designer web, sat BD-800. To call him a machine intelligence was technically accurate in the same way calling a nuclear warhead a firework was accurate.
Fucking clankers.
I hate them.
His body was a cage of chrome, humanoid only in the vaguest sense now, lit from within by a cold green glow. His face was a shifting mask of lights that pulsed when he spoke. He had once been the robot assistant of Queen Graves until she, along with every other Duke apart from two, had been slaughtered in the Gooch Gulch massacre.
Oh,
And we all remember that.
granddaddy was there.
An ignominious name for an ignominious end. Calandra Graves, the machine intoned. Its voice echoed everywhere all at once, like God had outsourced to a bad ventriloquist.
You mean a ventriloquist?
Yeah. His transfer into the SpaceNet security system had now earned him dominion over the entirety of this sector's military intelligence assets. Approach. Calandra clomped up the steps, boots ringing like funeral bells, poncho wrapped tight, pistols tucked out of sight. Nice decor, she said. Shame about the vibe. Feels like I'm about to be upsold some AI art. BD-800's face.
Jeff's like, I do not find that funny.
Yeah, this is
his hell.
clanker propaganda in our podcast.
Clankers.
BD-800's face lights flared. Sarcasm. Unnecessary. You stand before the supreme intelligence of the High Space Authority. Supreme intelligence? Calandra tilted her head. Bit much, ain't it? You and I were the only ones from the Duke's left, BD. That's like me calling myself Supreme Gambler after beating Windows Solitaire.
Yeah!
A long hum, almost a sigh. The Dukes of Lead are no more. Your husband, your comrades, all gone. Murdered, ambushed, eradicated. I am the last command authority. You are my last field operative. Calandra's jaw tightened, but she forced her tone flat. Why are we expositioning? We both know this. If it's for them, they mainly care about the jokes, believe me. Yeah. This is no jest. Ondar and Fincher, terminated. Daenerys, terminated. Grissom Graves, don't, Calandra snapped. The name cut like broken glass. She pulled her hat lower. I was there, BD. At least Grissom died doing what he loved, screaming obscenities with a weapon in his hand.
I love Grissom.
My hero, man.
For the first...
That's how I want to go.
Which weapon we talking about?
Whichever one does the job, baby.
My dick.
My dick!
For the first time, BD-800 paused. Then you know why you are summoned. Because everyone else is dead and you don't like getting your chrome hands dirty? There is an enemy still at large, one who must be eliminated before our order can be rebuilt. Calandra's jaw tightened, but she forced herself to stay casual. Who's the lucky bastard? The doll maker, BD-800 said. Weaponeer, armorer.
The doll maker
Yeah.
or the doll maker?
It's the fuck you maker.
That's a bad name. That doesn't even mean anything.
Weaponeer, armourer, amateur tap dancer. He binds armour and steel with forces from beyond this reality. His craft does not merely wound flesh, it corrupts loyalty, turning ally against ally, friend against friend. Calandra frowned. Luckily, I don't have any friends, except the jet wash attachment on my shower head, and the person who does those tasteful write-ups of my kills, along with a gruesome death rating in the network obituaries.
Future sounds great, man.
Just the small things in life, you know.
BD-800 continued as if she hadn't spoken. He is too dangerous to remain alive. You must not let his lies convert you. Do not let him speak. I'm more of a personal touch killer, like gonorrhea or the American health system?
Yeah.
Oh.
You will have to adapt, BD-800 said. He moves across the frontier, leaving only conflict in his wake. Hunt him, kill him, return with his corpse. A breath. I suspect he had something to do with the annihilation of the Dukes of Lead. She bit her cheek. You have proof he was involved? BD-800 pulled the cloak across his lap and seemed to almost clear his throat. Evidence. Classified. Trust. Irrelevant for now. You are a weapon. You will fire where aimed. Calandra took a long breath through her nose. Her instincts screamed at her that BD-800's words were wrong for once, or at least too convenient. But her blood wanted something else. Something in the shape of a corpse and then maybe a donut because she was hungry and she had skipped breakfast. Okay.
What kind of donut?
Don't give her a hard time. It was just one with sprinkles.
The pink kind?
Yeah.
That's a good donut.
She wants a
That
tradish.
is a good donut. Tradish. No, nothing wrong with that.
What about the betrayer? The only Duke who managed to escape? Hardened little weasel that he is. It's been 8 years, BD. What about the killer of our people? Silence, broken only by the hiss of coolant pipes. BD-800's lights shifted. Slower now, unreadable. No new pertinent data has been found. But if you complete this task, I will redouble my search efforts. Emeth graves will be found.
Oh, no.
What? Oh?
Calandra gave a thin
He's the
smile.
betrayer.
He was already the betrayer, little fucker.
Calandra gave
Hope he dies again.
Calandra gave a thin smile. Funny how that works, isn't it? You get your bogeyman killed, I get a breadcrumb. Almost sounds like you're desperate. Accept the mission. Pursue the truth. Avenge the Dukes. You will not fail. BD-800 is interrupted, as if the insinuation had offended him. She smirked despite herself. I like how you say that, like failure's not already my middle name. But fine, I'll track your dollmaker, find out what he knows, fuck him with a laser pistol. But if I hear even a whisper about Emeth, I'm dropping your errands faster than your mum drops her pants after a raspberry daiquiri and a Sex and the City marathon.
Oh my god, that sounds terrible.
Look, whatever it takes, right?
Oh god, I don't think I could do it.
Anti-dick medicine.
It's just, yeah.
You will,
Such a charlotte.
you will avenge the Dukes. Transmission complete. The lights on his face dimmed, like a curtain falling. The great chamber shuddered as doors opened in the far wall. Calandra spat on the floor before she left. Supreme intelligence, my ass. Calandra's ship, the sand glass, coughed out of jump space like someone with a hangover and a grudge. Stars smeared into streaks, then settled. And Calandra watched the nav readout blink the name like an accusation. Rat Lung Valley.
Who named all these places, Rich?
Beautiful this time of year.
The planet lived up to its name. It was a kind of dust ball that had given up on spin. A place where the sun baked mean into the very streets. Houses leaned like drunks at home time, and the main street was more polished by boots than by interest. Signs hung crooked.
That's because they don't have street sweepers.
True.
Wait, that's a reference that isn't a joke and also no one's going to get.
Signs hung.
How I like them, baby.
Signs hung crooked, sail banners long since fossilised into flapping death. Ratlung was a mining town not burdened with schooling or manners. A rim planet of the worst. It's where J.K. Rowling retired to write her new series of books about a kid, cowboy alien with his racist stereotype friends, Clanker Rustbot the droid, and Ros Wellgrey the alien.
Damn.
The book was a massive failure and she died of painful and lonely dysentery.
Oh, that's
Lonely dysentery.
I kind of feel like not lonely dysentery would be worse to live through.
She stepped down and felt the planet breathe despair on her in the form of a hot breeze. The dust got into her collar and into the little places that only would need a shower to clean. A dog watched from a porch, looking honest and pretending it had standards. It's a rat lung dog. You don't know. He's probably killed someone.
What is he thing?
There was a saloon. Of course there was. 2 stories of corrugated metal, 1 piano missing half its keys and the other half glad for it. Above the door, a hand-painted sign. Last turlet for 28 hours. Inside,
Turlet.
the air tasted like old beer and compromise. She picked the bar clean with her eyes and found the relic she'd been hunting. A frying pan, hung like a trophy behind the counter. It was blackened, edge-nicked, the sort of pan that had seen 1,000 breakfasts and caused 1,000 painful cross-legged trips to the outhouse.
Oh, the turlet.
Last turlet.
A comely woman, i.e. a woman who near made you jizz in your chaps right there, stood at the end of the bar, knuckles like prayer beads, smile gone soft around the edges. The men of the town, weathered, beaten, all of them pretending not to stare, watched her like she was a miracle in slow motion. Calandra stepped into the bar where a younger man was serving and eyeing her up. Drink. I warn you, Squirt, I'm in a pissy mood and I like my whiskey like I like men who hit on me. Full-bodied and leaving you breathless, the younger man sucked in his gut and flexed under his white shirt. Stuffed in a barrel for years with very little oxygen, Calandra corrected. She gestured to the older woman. She the owner? Oh, Saint Lorna, the young barkeep nodded, pointing to the woman as if introducing her like a mythical beast. Folks here call her that. Don't ask questions you don't want answers to, Duke. Calandra walked over, and Lorna looked up, eyes steady. There was no glamour in them, no melodrama, only a kind of animal patience that comes from sleeping with one eye open for years. You Lorna? Calandra asked. That I am, Lorna said. Her voice was low, the sort that doesn't waste volume on the unimportant. You want to hear about the pan, don't you? Was sold to me by a visiting dollmaker. Oh, sorry, a visiting blacksmith named Dollmaker. Husband made a scene and said I should buy it. Said it'd warm his breakfast and make a better wife of me. One that'd stop him bruising his fists on my face. Dollmaker.
Damn, this is fucking sad.
Dollmaker gave it to me.
Stop making me sad. Fuck you.
I'll bring back the dog.
Oh yeah.
That shady dog. Dollmaker gave it to me for free after he saw what my fella was like. Pity, I reckon. When the skillet didn't make me Cheffy LaRue, my husband got angry. But then, when he raised his fists to me, she set both palms flat on the bar as if to anchor herself. The pan didn't let him hit me, it just struck of its own accord. Hit true, broke his jaw, knocked him out for a week. Calandra narrowed her eyes.
That's not good. That's called a coma.
Yeah, that's brain damage right there.
It's like, you gotta go to the hospital.
Good luck in Ratlung.
Good luck in America. I mean, Ratlung.
Calandra narrowed her eyes, looking at the whiskey glass half full in front of her. Ain't nothing wrong with defending yourself. He came back later. Had himself a gun and a worse intent this time, Lorna sighed. He fired, the pan swung in the way, ricocheted the bullet back between his eyes. Easier than a divorce, I guess. Man's head was so empty, I reckon that bullet'd be still bouncing around inside that skull of his. She rose and brought the skillet down, like handling TNT before setting it gently on the bar. A drunk swaggered over, drunk on pride and cheap whiskey, eyeing Lorna like she owed him. He mocked, loud and slow. Hey, Saint Lorna, make me breakfast, beauty. He never finished the sentence. The pan left a crescent on his jaw like an idiot brand. He went down with the grace of a falling brick and remained very still. The room
See you in a week, buddy.
The room inhaled, exhaled, and settled. Calandra watched the silence. So the dollmaker did this on purpose? She asked. To protect the women of the settlement? Who knows, Lorna said. He said it would help people make better choices. He called it tempering the scales. She smiled without humour. Calandra leaned in. Any idea where he'd be now? Lorna considered, not wanting to get her saviour in trouble, but not wanting to cross a duke. Said he'd be on New Ganymede next, doing a private run for a collector. Calandra frowned. New Ganymede, of course. She ran a thumb over the pan's mark and found, under the lacquer, a hairline scratch in the shape of a tiny toy figure. A maker's sigil, maybe. A childish signature for someone who makes things that break grown men. You ever think You ever think he might be doing good? Lorna muttered. He's doing something all right, Calandra said. Whether it's mercy or madness, I'll find out. Outside, the town carried on like sleepwalkers. The drunk woke up and swore he'd never drink again, which lasted until noon. Lorna wiped the bar.
That's a record.
Lorna wiped the bar and Calandra tossed a credit chip to her. Keep the pan, she said. Don't tell anybody I was here. She headed back to the sandglass, the pan's mark burning in her head. The doll maker, whoever he was, left fingerprints across the galaxy. Maybe he was a saviour, maybe he was an executioner. She wasn't certain which the Dukes had deserved. She only knew BD-800 had set her after a man that might be a hero. That bothered her in the way only a hunter's conscience could. It got under the skin and made you itch. You made an itch you can't scratch without ripping yourself open or getting the special Gooch Be Clear medicine at the apothecary.
Gooch Be Clear.
A lot of gooch in this episode.
She strapped in, set a course for the neon rot of New Ganymede, and tugged her hat down. If the doll maker was trying to fix people with cursed cookware, Calandra wanted answers. Squeebus! Where have you been, you little rat-faced ghoul? Calandra declared loudly as she put the little shit into a headlock and dragged him into an alley. Hey, Calandra, I was just going to call you with that info you wanted. Squeebus Ogilvy twitched his whiskers and looked around sheepishly.
Squeebus.
Also, rat-faced ghoul is kind of a slur since my mother was a rodent and my dad was a bagul. Calandra's laser pistol nestled neatly into Squeebus's chatty mouth. Oh, I'm sorry, Squeebus. I'll correct my lexicon. Just so you know, I didn't call you that because of your heritage, but because you were trying to sell those people out there de-aging face cream that my scans show is more toxic than a Chernobyl engineer's butthole.
Oh!
What's in the
If they have one left.
They're nothing but butthole.
It's all butthole, yeah.
What is it, Squeebus? Slug milk and rat jizz. He gargled over the barrel. Calandra pulled the pistol away with a sneer. Don't tell me it's your jizz. Squeebus shuffled his feet. Not all of it. I can only produce so much. I don't need enough protein.
So honest.
Calandra stared. I need a favour, Squeebus. One favour, and your debt is cleared with me. I won't take you in for the time you set up that pyramid scheme selling actual pyramids and got in trouble with the Brotherhood of Ra. I won't take you in I won't even take you in for that time you pretended to be a Kennedy. All of it. All of it. Wiped away. Squeebus's little rat eyes gleamed. Sure, Calandra, anything for you. I need you to get me into the Black Vault auctions, Squeebus. Squeebus's smile vanished faster than dignity in a political senate. I can't, Calandra. I'd lose everything. No more schemes for old Squeebus. Calandra knelt down till she was face to face.
Live to scheme, baby.
I imagine Squeebus looks exactly like Rizzo. Like,
yeah,
he's got the same Muppet texture.
Less cute.
Yeah.
A little more like cross-eyed.
He's green.
Yes, that's just
So he's Grizzo.
not naturally.
Grizzo. Yeah. Calandra knelt down till she was face to face with the diminutive little prick. Well, I guess you can fall back to your old dick-sucking for cheese money down by the docks days. It'll be a mite easier when I kick those big rat teeth out of your mouth. Squeebus gulped. Calandra's next...
You're getting a lot of protein out of that.
Calandra's next stop was a casino called the Palace of Grift that promised experiences and delivered waking up in an ice bath minus your kidneys and the secret invitation-only Black Vault auctions. After passing through the checks in her evening gown and secret thigh gun belt, Calandra passed into the room of excess and greed that collected 98% of the planet's wealth into this 100-foot square room. A holographic chandelier spun uselessly overhead, while men in suits with teeth so shiny they could probably be used as currency argued over the starting price of Pisney orbital cannons.
Teeths are good eating.
The dollmaker's goods were on a separate table, labelled as curios. A cracked compass that pointed you not where you wanted to go, but where you needed to. The crossbow of Chekhov that must be fired when held and resulted in more accidental suicides than murders. And lastly, a helm that shone like a star. Calandra avoided small talk and took her seat when the auction started. The auctioneer ran his hand over the helmet like it was a pedigree hound. Ladies and gentlemen, unusual item next. The helm of concealment makes the wearer unseen. A rich prick won the auction for 10,000 credits and was immediately asked up on stage to claim the helm. The helmet looked stupidly proud of itself, a glossy dome with brass filigree and a slot for eyebrows. The rich prick hop-skipped into the headgear with the sort of confidence only generational wealth and poor foresight can buy. The crowd leaned in.
Not gonna go well.
Cameras went wet with expectation.
Oh, yeah.
He pulled the helm down like he was crowning himself. For a breath, the room held. Then the man shrieked and danced like a drunk with pins in his shoes. His head had vanished. Not metaphorically, not invisible because of good PR like Russell Brand. His head had gone.
Wow.
His jacket moved up around a void. His hands patted the air like a mime with boundary issues. Squeebus leaned in behind Calandra, whispering under the chaos. I've been asking round, Calandra, that the helm was used in a robbery 6 weeks back. Flimp Dipplefinger got caught when he thought all of him was invisible, but people saw a decapitated body walking in and start emptying the registers in broad daylight. A big-time criminal like Flimp brought down by a flashy hat. Shame no one knows the guy. I can think of some people I'd like to see get theirs. Calandra frowned and turned to her rat friend. How are these items getting out onto the market if nobody sees the dollmaker anymore? The dead market was a scrap heap cathedral. Starships sat in awkward abandoned positions, as near to tipping point as Kanye to a full breakdown and AK-47 rampage.
Oh my god! I was gonna say that's gonna be fun, but I'm not gonna say that now. That's not gonna be.
No, it's not far off. Calandra moved past twisted hulls and shattered cockpit glass, boots clanking against metal plating. Somewhere, a ship groaned and rained rusty shards to the floor. A voice called out from a pile of half-collapsed fuselage. Well, 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 if it isn't the widow herself. You clean up nicely, I must say. You really mustn't. Calandra turned her head slowly. Perched on the edge of a broken cargo pod was a man in a patchwork coat of different ship uniforms, one boot hanging off, the other carefully balanced on a panel. He grinned as he tried to pull a navigation unit free, but his smile never touched his tired eyes. Name's Garrick Pindle, he said, tipping an imaginary hat. Enabler of fine goods and occasional moral ambiguity. Garrick Pindle, huh? Calandra said, tilting her head. Sounds like a name your mother gave you to soften the disappointment of that bone structure. You look like they drafted you when they ran out crash test dummies for hyperlight freighters. He chuckled nervously. Well,
reading him like a drag queen. What the hell is going on?
He chuckled nervously. Well, you know, I wasn't always like this. I used to be quite handsome. A lute sitting on the panel behind him somehow chimed a drum punctuation, sharp and accusatory. It was lacquered.
We got a real sound effects.
They hear it. Apparently they hear it. You guys can hear that, right? Yeah, they agree.
What?
Wow.
They can hear
They
it.
could hear it when they were in the call with us, Rich.
Hear them say they hear it.
Okay. All right, I'm going to say badum-tis as well then, all right? A lute sitting on the panel behind him somehow chimed a drum punctuation, sharp and accusatory. It was lacquered dark, polished until it gleamed, strings taut and humming. Garrick froze, eyes darting. Calandra raised an eyebrow. What was that? Garrick waved at it, hand shaking. It's a new musical device. It's defective. And who gave you this gift? Garrick swallowed. A client. Just a client. Very generous stand-up guy. Calandra stepped closer.
God.
The lute twitched as if nudged by an unseen hand. Client, sure. What's the deal with the live studio audience here, genius? I'm half expecting Kelly Bundy to come running down to some barely disguised paedophiles whistling. Garrick's grin faltered. I can't tell you that. Calandra shot a blast into the ground, the plasma heating the muzzle of her pistol. She pressed it onto Garrick's forearm, and smiled at the squeal he gave as he pulled back. You'd be surprised what you can do with the right motivation, Garrick. Imagine the next time I'm going to press it up against your pee hole.
It's gonna seal the pee hole shut. It's gonna seal it shut.
How you gonna pee?
It's the Luda last laugh. The fence gestured to the instrument next to him. Every lie you tell, it makes that noise. Calandra's eyebrow twitched. He must have billed it as some sort of punishment, but I don't know why. I did everything he asked. I can't lie. I can't tell a bad story. I don't even deserve this.
The Moses lack.
He stopped mid-rant and groaned. Calandra crouched near the edge of the roof. What? Why don't you just destroy it? The fence shook his head. I can't. I tried to, but I can't bring myself to part with it. Why? He thought about lying, looked at the loot and shrugged. He pulled a small package from beneath his coat, dust motes dancing in the sun like flies around garbage. From inside, he pulled out a tiny wooden action figure, hands glued around the loot, arms outstretched in eternal playing, a perfect likeness of him, the toy's face frozen in a deranged grin. The toy is his insurance. I can't get rid of the loot, ma'am. I can't lie. I'm forced to smile, he said. He likes to control. The voodoo kind of control. Calandra's fingers brushed the doll, then realised something. Dollmaker hasn't thought this through, though, has he? If you can't lie, you can't hide him from me. The fence shrugged. That's the thing. He started being careful, like he wants to be caught. He started sending paper invoices, shipping notices, signed and sealed with this brand. He handed them to her. Calandra scanned the documents. The markings were unmistakable. The dollmaker's workshop, the magic voodoo doll, then an imprint in golden wax, a ball with a gun belt and a shotgun. The sigil Emeth Graves and the Graves family had picked for themselves when they graduated and became dukes. Her blood ran hot. Emeth was the dollmaker, and he'd gotten sloppy and confident after all these years uncaught, unpunished. He'd left a trail she could follow, straight back to him. The fence nodded in understanding. You follow, you find him, and tell him, badum-tsh. He plucked a string. Calandra gave a half smile, one side of her mouth twitching with the promise of trouble. Oh, I will. She turned back to the sandglass, the ship's graveyard stretching before her, along with her destiny. And now, 10 pages later, here we are, Calandra finished.
Oh my god.
Looking up at Prentice. The forge room smelled of old fire, and Calandra had never liked that smell. It clung to the back of the throat, thick and coppery, as though the air itself had been murdered and no one had buried the corpse. From the back room wafted the sound of metal against metal. Take me to him, she said. Prentice, soot-smeared, nervous, all bones and shifty cybernetic eye twitched. You don't want to see him. Calandra's pistol came up steady. That wasn't a question. He led her through the back door into the workshop. The dollmaker was there, or what was left of him, an ancient husk of a man slumped on a stool, skin parchment thin, eyes cloudy white and blind. His hands, broken claws, still moved against his wheel, hammering, shaping, sewing wire into steel. Each impact of the hammer was less a strike than a death rattle, and on the bench beside him, a toy-shaped figure, carved wood, wielding the same tiny hammer and anvil. Calandra took it in with a curl of her lip. So this is him, this husk? I crossed half the galaxy for Grandpa Fire Hazard? The click of a revolver answered her, cold steel pressed against the back of her neck. "Turn around, Calandra," Emif said. The voice was older, cracked, full of gravel, but it was him, her brother-in-law, the last surviving Duke. "Look down, Einstein," Calandra gestured to her right hand, curved around her body with her pistol pointing towards him in anticipation. "So you knew since you walked in." Slowly she turned, raised, but he looked awful, beard ragged, one eye bloodshot, his old coat hanging like a funeral flag, but the gun in his hand was steady. "I spent half my life looking for you, you dope. I spent half my young life looking after you, you dope. A cybernetic eye and some mileage isn't going to make me forget the face I've burned into my memory over the past 10 years.
It was the apprentice.
You got old," she said flatly, "and ugly, but you're still MF Graves. You got mean," MF shot back, "and stupider, showing your neck in a place like this. What's wrong with you?" They stared at each other for a beat, neither blinking. "Tell me why I shouldn't ventilate you right here." "Because I'll ventilate you faster. Plus, you're not here for that," he muttered. He lowered the gun just a fraction and pulled something from his coat. A doll, carved in his likeness, broken. "This was me. Dollmaker made it. Used me like a puppet, his little plaything. Turned me into his weapon when I was younger. I watched myself murder my brothers, my sisters. Watched my hands do it, Cal. And when I woke, everyone was dead. My doll was broken, and I was the only one breathing." Calandra squinted. "That's your excuse? You were hexed by Barbie?" He swallowed. His grip on the gun slackened just enough to let the weight of his words in. "I swore I'd find him. I swore I'd make him pay. So I did what I had to do. I came back years later and apprenticed under him. Learned his craft, built dolls of my own, and when I was ready," he gestured at the broken husk in the corner still hammering, "I made him a doll. Bound him to it. Now he's the slave, and I won't let him die until his bones crumble, till every brain cell is dead, and even then I'll still make him work." Calandra put the gun away. "Well, I believe you." "You do?" Emma raised an eyebrow. "That was easier than I thought it'd be. Why?" Calandra pulled the loot of last laugh from a poncho. "If you weren't, we would have had an encore. So, all those pieces out in the world, all those people helped." "Once a duke, always a duke," Emma smiled. "And it was a trail, for you." "For me?" she blinked. He picked up a data pad and slid it across the table at her. "I had to talk to you away from BD, where he couldn't hear. BD-800 didn't send you after the Dollmaker because he's dangerous. He sent you because he wanted his history wiped. That's a contract, dated 2 weeks before the Dukes." He trailed off. She scanned the contract between BD-800 and the Dollmaker, signed and sealed. "Fuck." She circled him. "We got a bigger problem here. BD-800 sends me across the stars to track a black market Dollmaker, but what do I find? Not him, you. You're the prize pig, Emeth. I wasn't just sniffing him out. I was sniffing you out." Emeth's face darkened. "Son of a bitch." The forge fire snuffed out from the draft at the open door to the shop, and the room grew ice cold. And then the Dukes walked in. Denarius came first, dragging the grafted chain cannon, sparks vomiting from its maw as if it couldn't wait to kill something. He grinned wide, jaw half rotted, and croaked, "Daddy's home, and he brought the belt." Behind him, Ondar and Fincher crept in, silent and skeletal. Their grins stretched so wide their cheeks had torn open. They clutched each other's wrists and moved as one, shuffling like dancers who'd forgotten the music. And last came Grissom, her husband, or what was left of him. The black pits of his eyes locked on Calandra as maggots crawled lazily from his teeth.
Ugh.
His shotgun trailed behind him, scraping the floor like a butcher's cleaver. "Cal," he rasped, voice soaked in tar. "Sweet Cal, moved on to the brother already. You should have joined me in the dirt. No till death us do part for you." Calandra's stomach dropped. Her hand twitched at the pistol. Grissom. Calandra's breath stuck in her lungs, solidifying, threatening to choke her. One look at Emeth confirmed without a doubt that his story was true. He hadn't known anything about this. His shock mirroring her own. Grissom cocked his head in surprised amusement at Calandra's pain. Don't griss me. You left me rotting while you were out playing bounty whore. You're mine, Calandra. Always were, always will be. Calandra felt her throat tighten. She forced out a scoff. You smell like dirt and gun oil. Some things never change, Grissom. He grinned too wide, maggots pattering down his chest. Still that sharp tongue. Gonna enjoy ripping it out of your skull. The twins pulled identical daggers from their blood-stained belts, Ondar miming a cutthroat as Fincher cackled like the burbling of a frog croak. MF spat on the floor. These ain't our brothers anymore, just corpses with bad jokes. Daenerys bellowed, Bad jokes but good aim, and fired. The workshop erupted in chaos. Plasma bolts shrieked through the forge. Armour and toys exploded into showers of cursed shrapnel. Daenerys levelled the chain cannon again, laughing so hard his ribs rattled loose. Calandra ducked under the spray, rolled and snapped off 2 shots. One bolt caught him in the groin. His eyes bulged. Right in the wedding saddle, MF crowed, before vaulting the cover he had jumped behind and ramming the chain gun arm right back into Daenerys' own body. Daenerys staggered, clutched himself, and when the cannon spun again, it jammed on his own rib bones. The feedback blew him backwards through a wall in a cloud of meat confetti.
Oh, goddamn.
Ondar and Fincher scuttled over the forge like crabs, pointing their daggers like pistols and clicking their tongues. Ondar threw his blade and it took Calandra along the thigh. She shrieked in pain as Grissom used the shotgun like a club, knocking her into a display of armour breastplates. The twins leapt at MF together, pinning him, Fincher's blade finding MF's shoulder and skewering him to the floor. In return, he reached for the anvil with his good arm and caved Fincher's skull with a hammer, but both screamed, conjoined in some foul puppet logic as they scuttled backwards. Even with half
puppet logic.
Even with half a face, Fincher smiled that lipless smile. They stalked him slowly, crab walking over the bellows. Calandra raised her pistol and shot the bellows lever, blasting them with a belch of fire. They went up like paper lanterns, still holding hands, doing a synchronised cartoon shrug as they burned to ash.
It's a living.
That left him. He strode through the fire like it was a wedding aisle, shotgun dragging with a nails on chalkboard scrape. His hollow and fly-eaten eyes never left Calandra. Calandra, he rasped. Sweet Calandra. Always thought I'd die in your arms. Instead I died in a ditch while you were off playing hero. Some wife. Calandra steadied her pistols, jaw tight. You ain't him. You ain't half the man he was. And not just because you're so worm-eaten. He lunged, faster than he had any right to. The shotgun smashed her across the face, sending her sprawling. He stalked after her, black bubbles popping through her shredded throat. You think you're as good as me? You were just my hanger-on, my little echo. You lived in my shadow. Now you'll die in it, bitch.
Damn.
MF kicked.
Damn, yeah.
MF kicked his knee sideways, rolled under him, came up firing, rounds punching into his torso, blowing chunks of meat and maggot. He just laughed through the holes and grabbed MF by the throat. Still can't kill me clean, brother, he gurgled, then threw him across the room where he landed with a sickening thud. Always coming up short. Calandra's eyes darted past him. The bench, the clutter of doll-maker junk, wooden limbs, broken toy soldiers, discarded scraps. Her fingers scrabbled blindly, found something solid. MF's broken doll, the one the doll-maker had used to control him, the toy that still haunted him. She jammed the thing in her hand into the barrel of his shotgun. Eat glue and surprisingly effective story prompt, asshole, she hissed. Grissom didn't even notice through his snarl. He pulled the trigger as Calandra ducked. The shotgun went off like Wile E. Coyote's summer workshop project. The barrel bulged, cartoon style, the stock exploding backwards, and Grissom's whole front half became a Pollock painting on the forge wall. The splintered toy MF shot backwards. The splintered toy Emmeth shot backwards through his skull, exiting with a pop like a cork from a cheap bottle of champagne. He tottered, eyeless, jaw unhinged, still trying to laugh, a horrid, bubbling chuckle that sounded more like a drain unclogging. He raised one finger at her like he wanted one last point scored. Then he toppled face first into her lap. She stared for a long moment, chest heaving. Figures you'd have to have been risen from the dead by BD-800 to go down on a woman.
Damn!
MF.
Fucking DJ Khaled over here.
MF, pale and shaking, croaked a laugh. He really went out with a bang. The loot of last laugh on the shelf gave a solemn badum-ts. MF gave a bitter smile. You know BD-800 will expect one body back, maybe two. Well, Calandra dropped into a chair, lit a cigarette off the burning remnant of her husband, and blew out a long, shaky plume. Then let's not disappoint the metal bast. The door was kicked open and Squeebus Ogilvy stood silhouetted in the sunrise-soaked doorway, armed to the teeth with weapons. When he saw the carnage, he looked down and kicked the dirt. Oh, shucks. Calandra laughed. You came to help me? Squeebus blushed. Of course. Well, truth be told, I kind of got here a minute after they did and then hid in the bushes until the gunfire stopped.
Makes sense.
He quickly shot Daenerys' shredded corpse. There, I contributed. What are we going to do now? Surely this whole story leads to some higher purpose and isn't just a one-up. The end.
Oh my god! Rich,
Got the audience this time.
how many pages was that?
So if it's in 13, it's 18 pages.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was a long
That's
one.
longer than mine.
That's crazy. That was really good.
That was an action-packed ass adventure. I loved it.
I wanted to make a film.
Is Squib.
Yeah, he's Squib. But
I did a Humie and you did a Squib.
Yeah. I kind of feel like we're getting to the point where all the characters do exist in the other's universe. They're just slightly different, right?
True.
It's every character, though.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to make an action
Hero
film.
with 1,000 faces, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The Squib with 1,000 faces.
Yeah.
Squeebus Ogilvy.
Ogilvy. No, that was a good action movie. That was, and it was like a crime thriller.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I had to do 3 sort of like clues, so it made it a bit longer than I originally wanted it to. But this is alternate universe shit. This isn't our universe. This is where Calandra was the Duke of Lead.
Yeah.
That was
I don't
sick.
like that Grissom is mean to her.
He might be.
Because I like her.
He might be back.
I guess the question becomes, for our audience, for fan fiction's sake and everything, is Grissom Graves bisexual, or is he just different sexualities in different universes?
I would say he is omnisexual. Grissom Graves isn't putting
The
himself in any.
Omni!
When he fills out his vaccine card and it says sex, he puts yes.
Yes, please.
I reckon so.
I reckon I would go for some of that.
Yeah, sorry that was a bit longer than it.
No, that was
normally
great.
is.
No, it's okay. That was good.
That was an hour-long story.
Yeah, that was an hour long. Sorry, guys.
Did you think like, okay, like we had a week off, maybe I'll write 2 stories?
Well,
what were you doing?
So the thing is, I started writing it because I always start writing it after the last episode, but we've had a month, so I sort of forgot how much I had written and I stupidly added the page count last, and I was like, oh fucking hell, what have I done? And then there was no natural place to be continued with it, so I just did it.
My story is 13 pages, so I guess strap in.
So instead, you just like were like, "Is this a pointless story?" The end.
I do like ending like that. Yeah, if there's any Taylor Swift fans out there, she's not gonna care. She's got billions of pounds, dollars, whatever.
Plus, she's got that CTE, sexually transmitted, so she's not gonna remember that shit. Unless she's one of those angry CTE dudes and goes nuts and kills people.
Oh god, Chris Benoit's gonna turn up on my doorstep.
Chris Benoit, Jason Sehorn.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Taylor Swift wall.
Taylor Swift. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Cool. Right.
I
Cool.
liked it more than Jeff.
Nah,
One
I
more.
liked it a dollar
One more.
more than Josh.
Yeah.
I liked that one more. Yeah.
All right, that was part 2. Sorry for the length. We'll be back in a shake of a lamb's tail. Bye.
That's what I say to your mom. Sorry for the length.
Not the first time you said that.
Well, you're back. It's already been like 2 hours, so why not have a third story?
I don't even remember what we're doing today.
What day is it?
I don't know.
M-Class Podcast Day?
T-Bone Tuesday, baby.
Jeff, regale us. What we need at this point is we need so many jokes. I really want to. I want to laugh my way to the end of the episode because I'm like feeling a bit croaky after talking for an hour. So let's go. Let's go.
Mamma mia.
So right up front, this doesn't have. It has like 2 jokes in it. Everyone kept telling me that it was okay for me to do stories with no jokes in it, so now you actually have to fucking deal with it.
Okay.
The title of my story. But
I couldn't get to it in time.
the title of my story is "We All Fall Down." Johnny Long had spent the time he suddenly had on his hands remembering his 7th grade math teacher. She told him point blank to his face that he would never amount to anything. Joke's on her, Johnny thought, because now he's crouched in a damp hole in the ground somewhere in the middle of nowhere with a gun in his hand and a dead virgin laying in a cold pool of his own blood in front of him. He'd come a long way since algebra. Gordon G. Gordon had lain motionless for somewhere around 15 minutes at this point. The bullet hole in his head didn't close up. The blood didn't congeal into a spooky bagul that came chomping for his soul. The giant spider didn't burst out of his chest straight out of H.R. Giger's Spank Bank. Nothing.
Nice. That spider has so many dicks.
He was just a limp, lifeless corpse, silently taunting Johnny for having murdered him for no reason at all. He was slowly
or as we call him,
decaying...
Jeff, an improvement.
Yeah.
He was a slowly decaying billboard advertising Johnny's complete and utter loss of sanity to anyone passing by on the I-90. The cold in the air was beginning to seep into Johnny's bones, crouched in the darkness with his flashlight flickering before he began to hear the sounds on the other side of the door in front of him. It was faint at first and unrecognizable, but it grew louder and louder until it was all that filled Johnny's ears and burned at his memory. It was the sound of a heart monitor, steadily and rhythmically beating out. But not just any heart monitor.
He's in a coma!
Weeks sitting in a cramped little chair in the corner of a hospital room had seared the sound so deeply into his subconscious he could have picked it out anywhere, though it had only echoed in his nightmares since. It was the heart monitor beside the deathbed of his wife, Katie Long. He stared unblinkingly.
Sorry, I thought that was a joke.
What?
I was trying to add some humour.
What the fuck?
Jeff, you got us again.
Jeff.
I request that you not do that again. God damn, that threw me off.
It should have.
He stared unblinkingly at the blood-spattered door before him, just as rickety and wooden as ever, but now a barricade between him and a truth he could never bring himself to accept. He didn't move, he barely breathed. The rhythmic beeping suddenly began to wane. Like a toy winding down as the battery died, the beeps became further and further apart, slower. Johnny's eyes shook in their sockets as tears began to form in them and welled up over his vision. Beep. 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 Johnny leapt to his feet and pressed his entire weight against the old wooden door, sending it flying open on its old rickety hinges, his entire body bursting into the space beyond it with all the haste he could muster within him. "Katie!" he screamed out, his ears rushing with his own blood, his cheeks stained with his own tears. But the only thing that greeted him was the same stone church he had found behind that door once before. High stone walls with burning sconces, tapestries moth-eaten and tattered fluttering against the dusty stone, and row after row of old wooden long pews stretched out on either side of a tattered old red and gold carpet in the center of the room. But this time, upon each and every one of those pews was seated a person, and each and every one of them shifted and turned towards Johnny in unison as he burst in. Dull, half-lidded eyes placidly staring at him as he breathed heavingly, his own eyes wide and harried. Every one of the congregation's pupils reflected the dull light of the flickering torches along the walls as a predator's eyes reflected in the dark of night. Johnny didn't recognize all of them, but a few of them leapt out at him almost immediately. The mayor of Miami City, Adam Grant, was seated towards the front, wearing a full gray suit with a pin attached to his lapel which read, "One Big Grant for Miami." He smiled without any emotion in his empty eyes, his cheeks straining against his large, perfectly white teeth. Sitting just beside him with her meek-looking little husband was Congresswoman Ellis, the Republican representative of Miami-Dade County.
Boo!
She was aimlessly chewing on something that spewed pus down the side of her face and wriggled, trying to escape her sharpened teeth.
Probably Trump's dick.
Her husband drooled. Typical Republicans, am I right?
Yeah.
And almost as guests of honor in the very front and middle of the entire congregation were Dr. Robert Brooks, his wife Margaret, and their eldest daughter, the origin of all of this, Madeline Brooks. Each stared at Johnny with a placid recognition behind their predator's eyes, and a smile which betrayed no warmth. The smile of a killer luring his victim into the van, the bared teeth of a wolf bidding its prey come closer. Johnny stood without a single thought forming within his mind to aid him. He could only scream at himself in his mind to move, to run, to do anything. But two sets of hands were upon him before he could escape his fear long enough to act. Large, imposing men, each with their own empty eyes, had descended upon him all at once, and pressed his body down into the cold, hard ground with their weight. He tried to scream, but they pressed his face too tightly into the stone. One hand dipped into his and wrenched the .45 out of it, the pistol disappearing beyond where his eyes could follow once it was taken. "You were meant to be a boon to our cause, Mr. Long." A deep guttural voice cut the silence of the room like a knife. "It was too much to hope for. I see that now." One of the large men pinning Johnny to the ground grasped a handful of his hair and yanked his head up off the stone all at once, drawing his gaze up to the large, imposing man who loomed darkly over him. Johnny instantly recognized him as the Reverend who had sat at his bedside the other night when he was languishing in the hospital. He was even still wearing the same white vestments and carrying the same burning predator's gaze. "Could have sworn I dreamed you," Johnny managed to sputter out, his body beginning to shake violently with an innate fear he couldn't rid himself of now, no matter how many times he tried to steel his nerves. "Perhaps you did," the Reverend said thoughtfully, then made a small hand motion to his compatriots who were holding tight to Johnny. The two men yanked him up to his feet and pushed him forward harshly, causing him to stumble a step before catching himself. "My name is Reverend Voice," the huge man before him stated matter-of-factly. "Perhaps I should have told you that earlier. I suppose I understood that gaining your trust was impossible even then. That is why such drastic measures had to be taken to procure your presence."
Cricket Man!
Drastic? Johnny coughed out, his lungs beginning to burn from the smoke in the air from all the lit torches around the church. "It doesn't matter. You are here on a joyous occasion, Mr. Long. You see, we finally have a child old enough to ascend.
Yeah, and Gordy's dead. That's fun.
Reverend Voice swept his hand out over the congregation, who all immediately began to violently clap in an uproariously loud cacophony that caused Johnny to wince, then just as quickly instantly stopped, leaving the dead silence of the room in its wake once more. Jesus, the last thing we need is another church diddling kids, Rev. Johnny spat out sarcastically, trying his damnedest to stop shaking long enough
Another one.
to sound nonchalant. But even this attempt at normalcy was shattered at the entrance of several more large, empty-eyed men from the side of the chamber, each of their hands tightly grasped around the flailing limb of Evelyn Brooks, Madeline Brooks' little sister. She was screaming and begging to be let go as she was carried into the room. "You fucking freaks!" Johnny screamed out, lunging in the direction of Evelyn's captors, but the two gigantic men who had held him to the floor again lashed their hands onto him and drew him back away. "Let go of me, goddammit! Let her go!" "You misunderstand, Mr. Long," the Reverend Voice said calmly. He turned and began to walk down the middle of the aisle towards the dais at the front of the room. The two gigantic captors wrenched Johnny around and began to force him down the aisle behind the Reverend as well. "You see, Evelyn is the last of her family to join us. We who are blessed by the moon." Evelyn was placed on a gigantic stone dais at the front of the room, her arms and legs strapped down with long strands of heavy leather cord, which attached to the floor, crisscrossed over her on either side of the slab. She struggled, screaming out, but could not move from there. "We are the Sin Eaters, Mr. Long, given into the total of humanity so as to cleanse us from the darkness, which so turned the eye of God away from us to begin with.
Man, I'm so sick of Republicans.
Yeah.
We are the true children of God who were forced underground by the advent of men." Reverend Voice walked forward further, but the two large men held Johnny tightly in place in the middle of the aisle, halfway down it, amongst the congregation, who all still stared at him emptily. "But we learned eventually that there was a use for you mongrel dogs who stole God's light from us."
Oh no, are they bagools?
No more bagools.
No more bagools.
I'm tired of these fucking bagools.
Taking our women and our jobs.
Whoa.
Breathing up all our ghoul air.
Sounded like clankers to me. Johnny's attention was suddenly diverted to a small boy who stood in front of him, his head cocked to the side with empty, reflective eyes staring up at him. The little boy smiled a mirthless, emotionless smile, and drew up from beside him a doll, which hung limply from his hands. Johnny squinted at it with panic burning at his senses. The action figure the boy presented was wearing almost the exact same outfit that Johnny was, but had jagged black plastic and metal spider legs pushed through the midsection out of the stomach, with tips filed to jagged points to penetrate it. Johnny drew back from the child, but the boy simply pressed the action figure into Johnny's jacket pocket and then turned away, skipping mirthlessly back towards his parents, who still stared from the audience.
Damn, is that a fucking mint condition Cricket Man? Let me get it.
Tear that plastic open.
It's a fucking Johnny Long. Cricket Man's not in this. Calm down. He'll be back. He'll be back.
Johnny Long Cricket.
Yeah.
I know. I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny couldn't help but notice that almost every child under the age of 10 in this room was holding the exact same disfigured doll. Evelyn's screams drew Johnny's eyes back towards the front, along with every set of eyes in the room, which had been on him since he arrived. Before them, Reverend Voice stood over the stone slab that Evelyn was strapped to, his arms outstretched to the side, awaiting one of his dead-eyed cronies to hand him something. "What the fuck are you doing?" Johnny screamed out, trying his damnedest to wrench away from the hands that held him in place, and failing. "Leave her alone, goddammit!" Reverend Voice's hand slowly slid around a thin, sharp, metallic scalpel which shimmered in the dancing light of the torches. Evelyn screamed and screamed, but it didn't affect anyone in the room on any level save for Johnny. She was begging for her life, and the Reverend simply drew up his scalpel and leaned over her with a wide smile. "No!" Johnny screamed, just as the scalpel pierced into the side of Evelyn's forehead, sending a winding spurt of blood into the air and instantly silencing Evelyn's screams from the force of the incision. sliding straight into her brain. 4 or 5 inches in fact. Johnny stared in abject horror as the scalpel...
Is that it?
Johnny stared in abject horror as the scalpel began to dance up and down in its bloody, gaping wound, as if it was digging out the brain matter inside and skewering it on the blade. A hypothesis which was proven correct instantly as he dragged the scalpel out, covered in bone and brain matter, and flicked the pieces away like worthless detritus. The entire congregation stamped their feet over and over, creating a cacophonous sound which shook the old dusty walls of the stone church and rattled into Johnny's brain like a saw. 2 people came out of the side entrance together this time, wearing vestments much like reverend voices. The first Johnny didn't recognize, but the second, he realized in a sinking of the pit of his stomach, was Madeline Brooks's boyfriend, Aiden Temple, with the same empty-eyed look shared amongst everyone else in the room. Between the 2 of them, they carried a small glass decanter with a strange purplish liquid inside of it, which almost seemed to radiate a soft light.
Cricket goo!
Something was moving inside of it, deftly darting from one side of the container to the other, hidden in the liquid. The sound of stomping feet in the room was deafening by now. Reverend Voice took the decanter from the 2 of them and smiled serenely, sending them on their way to sit amongst the congregation. Johnny watched...
Decanter? I hardly knew her.
Can we do good jokes if we're going to do jokes, please?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
Johnny watched with disgusted, rapt attention. His jaw dropped. The Reverend shoved his hand into the purple liquid, and when he withdrew it back into the light, he held within his grasp a screeching, wriggling black thing the size of a golf ball, which fought against his touch to no avail. When he drew it high into the air, the congregation screeched out in response, their eyes rolling back into their heads and fluttering open and closed rhythmically. Johnny suddenly felt the need to escape in the same manner a cornered prey animal would. He threw his body from side to side, wrenching his arms around as hard as he could, fought with all of his might, but the 2 huge men seemed almost completely unfazed by his efforts. Today, we commit this child of our chosen into its new armor, a flesh which may hide amongst the mongrels of the surface and reap them for our cause, to devour them for our sustenance, to sacrifice them for our God. I, the armorer of our people, the shepherd of our ascension, christen thee. Reverend Voice screamed out over the deafening chorus of screeching voices, thrusting the writhing black creature in his hand down straight into the still explosively bleeding, gaping head wound in Evelyn Brooks, fitting the squirming infant horror into the hole like a plug into a drain that stopped the bleeding instantly.
See, this is why I don't like religion. It's just all this sort of stuff. Man.
They're always putting ghouls in your head and shit.
I don't want this. Don't want it. Don't even want communion wafers. That's how they get you. Communion wafers and red wine.
They put the spider in there.
And then spiders, yeah.
It's like that episode of X-Files where the cigarettes, but the spiders are in the cigarettes.
I don't like that episode.
Yeah.
The thing burrowed further in, causing Evelyn's corpse to begin to convulse and thrash as its brain was ripped and clawed at. Then there was silence. The entire room went quiet, causing Johnny to dart his gaze around in instinctual terror at this point. Reverend Voice drew back the leather straps from Evelyn's corpse one by one, allowing them to fall limply to the craggy stone floor below. As if on cue, Evelyn's body rose, completely unnaturally up to a seated position. Her eyes wide, but completely empty. Her mouth drooped open, and blood dribbling out of it like a newborn's drool. The congregation began to scream and wail and throw their hands up, their eyes never showcasing a single emotion, but their reverie still as real as any. The 2 retainers who had brought the infant creature stood up, the girl who he did not recognize in Aiden Temple, and began to wrap Evelyn's head in bandages, just around the top, below the hairline, like a folded bandana. Johnny stood in silent, painful shock. The realization that burned through him like a house fire left nothing but ash in him. He drew a violently shaking hand up slowly and touched his trembling fingertips to the off-white bandages that wrapped around his head, just around the top, below the hairline, like a folded bandana. They were absolutely identical. So you begin to understand, Mr. Long, Reverend Voice said with a knowing nod and an understanding smile. He drew around the dais and placed his bloody hands together in front of his chest, staining his pure white vestments deeply as he stood. You are the key to our ascension, regardless of if you consent to it or not.
That's
You
bad.
are the first scion, the one who will awaken our dead god and unite him with the Holy Spirit of the second moon. You are responsible for everything you see here this day, and much, much more. Johnny stumbled on his own feet. The two men were no longer holding him in place. Perhaps they sensed there was no fight left in him any longer. Come along, Mr. Long. Your destiny awaits you. Reverend Voice motioned for Johnny to follow him, turned and walked back around the dais towards the back of the church. A set of gigantic old wooden double doors stood there. You didn't... To me? Johnny muttered out loud before he pressed his fingers into the spot on the bandages on his head where he had seen Evelyn be stabbed before. The pain that shot through him was horrific. This is... Reverend Voice pressed a finger to the exact same spot on his head. The flesh imprinted inwards only a few centimeters, but the small red circle that appeared on his flesh was unmistakably the same wound he had just given Evelyn Brooks, who still sat upright like a lifeless doll on the stone slab beside him. Every person in that room besides Johnny stood up in unison, as if drawn up by the strings of a puppeteer, and placed their index finger on the exact same spot. The skin indented from the light force, and the red ring appeared just the same. I'm... Johnny sputtered, feeling the entire room spin around him. You're... Come along, Mr. Long. We did not wait this long just to massage your bruised sense of humanity. The Reverend Voice spat out derisively, and then motioned for Johnny to follow once more forcefully. The two large men behind him shoved Johnny forward a step or two, which began him walking to stop from falling on his face, but kept him moving enough to instinctually follow along behind the Reverend. There didn't seem to be anything else left to do. The Reverend pushed open the two gigantic double doors to reveal beyond them the largest room that Johnny Long had ever stepped foot in before. There were torches along the walls, but they were so far away that there was only a hazy darkness left in the center. As Johnny walked along behind Reverend Voice, shuffling his feet silently, his eyes wide and trembling in his head, thoughts refused to form for him, besides lizard-brained fear. He could barely put the idea together that the room seemed to be sloping downwards very slightly the further they got from the door. Beyond that, it was completely and totally featureless, simply hewn stone. And they did walk far. It was several minutes of wandering through darkness before anything changed at all from the monotony of silently taking step after agonizing step. Then there was a sound. It was distant at first, but increased further and further and further as they continued along. It seemed incomprehensible to begin with, and drew a dread from underneath the base fear in Johnny that he didn't even know he was capable of feeling. A manic kind of understanding that whatever was making that sound was going to rip away what little was left of his sanity, his humanity, the essence of what he was. But then it became all too clear what that sound was. It was loud enough to become all-encompassing now, but it was so human and ordinary otherwise that it made Johnny feel sick at himself and his lack of emotional control, even while still drawing that dread further and further from inside of him. It was the deep, ragged, painful breathing of something human, but far, far too large. Reverend Dark said nothing, simply continuing on, unfazed. What felt like 15 minutes of walking went by in the din of that ragged breath and that all-encompassing hazy blackness of shadow around them. Johnny had become intimately aware of what 15 minutes of pure horror felt like, from sitting next to Gordy's corpse, after all. Now the two of them stood at the precipice of a hole the size of a city block. A bleak, endless drop which had no railing, no warning sign, not even a lip. It didn't even look like a human being had ever touched this place. It was simply, and unequivocally, a hole. Johnny peered down into it with a welling fear which threatened to cause his heart to burst. Chains rattled between heaving, ragged breaths. You do not look down to find God, Mr. Long, Reverend Voice said matter-of-factly. He drew a hand up and swept it towards the ceiling above them. Johnny turned his gaze upward. He had lived through several nightmares where he saw a tower of flesh before, like a stone tower at the edge of a widening sea, enshrined in a halo of a blood moon. He had become accustomed to this sight whenever he closed his eyes for too long, or thought too deeply about the mystery he had become obsessed with. But now he realized that maybe his own mind had been contextualizing what he had seen to protect itself. Dangling far above from seemingly endless amounts of chains and metal wires which crisscrossed over the entire endless surface and were driven into the stone below with steel spikes, was an undulating mass of writhing, living human flesh. Human eyes blinked arrhythmically, each one of them a haunting gray. Human arms, legs, torsos, hands, feet, teeth, brains, organs, sinew, bone, bile, coagulated blood, everything that made up a human being but twisted and grafted onto one another to create a horrible, unimaginable to the minds of the sane, and obliterating to the minds of those left. A sea of almost endless amalgamated viscera. He couldn't begin.
This reminds me. This reminds me of, if you ever played the Game Boy Advance Castlevanias, that boss that's like a ball of humans. Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah.
He couldn't begin
Great, I just pooped my pants. Great.
He couldn't begin to fathom the sheer scale of it, disappearing into the darkness beyond the edge of his vision in every single direction he turned, causing his head to spin, his mind to reel at the millions and millions of maimed human beings it would take to create something of this size, this scale. The near infinite loss of life that went into the construction of this monument of cruelty and pain was mind-warping and staggering beyond calculation. Isn't it wondrous, Johnny Long? Reverend Voice boomed out, his voice echoing into the vastness of the room around them. A living, breathing body, ripe for the soul of our God to finally incarnate amongst his people. A body for our Lord, our Savior, our chance for a final redemption. The Umbral Born. The endless mass of writhing flesh and bone began to undulate above them, sending a rain of globs of disgusting liquid and viscera to rain down into the endless hole below it. Why am I here? Johnny cried out, his entire worldview shattering inside of him, dropping to his knees on the cold, hard stone floor and smashing his fists into it violently. What could you possibly want from me? You will be the guide, Mr. Long. The first scion opens the gate, reveals the second moon, allows for the soul of our God to travel to our world. Reverend Voice added calmly, Don't worry. You will know exactly what to do soon. We will aid you. After all, we are your family now. Johnny's eyes widened. The word family hit him like a bullet. In his mind was he was suddenly standing in a hospital room, tears streaming down his face, his hand grasping tightly onto Katie's. She looked up at him weakly, her smile even weaker, and tried to squeeze his hand but couldn't. A vision passed in front of his eyes of a wispy family made of smoke. A father, a mother, and a little girl. They danced and played amongst one another. He couldn't see their faces, but he recognized them. He recognized who they were supposed to be, anyway. Johnny shuddered on his hands and knees on the stone floor, unable to even force himself to look up again and see the unmitigated horror that breathed over him up there. But he did manage to force his voice back into his throat and grit back into his voice. You think I can't stop you, don't you? Johnny spat out, clenching his eyes tightly closed. You think I'm some fucking savior to your people, some figure you tell your disgusting little rat babies will bring you to heaven, but I can't do anything to stop you, huh? What are you babbling about? Reverend Voice said with disdain dripping from his lips. Next time, don't make these things so sharp, Johnny said flatly. What? Reverend Voice said with a tilt of his head. Johnny flung himself up off his knees and onto his feet, swinging around as fast as he could and raising his hand through the air all in one swoop. Clenched in his right fist was a small, deformed action figure in the shape roughly mimicking himself, but with jagged, sharp metal and plastic spider's legs having been jammed through the torso of it to mimic one of their chest burstings. The jagged ends of those legs went straight into Reverend Voice's eyes and cheeks, causing a surge of blood to spew from within, and the Reverend to scream bloody murder. Johnny then forced all of his weight onto the Reverend's much larger frame, causing him to almost instantly fly back and splay out painfully onto the cold stone of the floor. The writhing monolith of human corpses began to screech, but Johnny was already running back in the direction they'd come from full tilt, his heart up in his throat. "Johnny Long, you will not escape your destiny!" Reverend Voice screamed out in the cavernously large room. "Fuck your mother!" Johnny screamed back at the top of his lungs.
Fair response.
His legs and arms pumping as fast and as hard as they could to get away. Johnny ran, and ran, and ran, and ran. He could feel his lungs burning, his muscles straining, his joints aching like only a man in his late 40s and early 50s could feel. But he didn't stop no matter how much it hurt, no matter how much his body begged him. He ran. For some reason, it didn't seem as far to get back when you weren't being death-marched by an evil-ass priest. Go figure. So it wasn't quite as long before Johnny saw the gigantic double doors coming up in front of him. He thought as quickly as he could of the best way to get into the church and get out with all those people-shaped freaks inside, but realized there wasn't enough time to formulate a plan anymore, as he was just barreling full weight directly into the double doors within a second. He just did his second bursting into the room act of the night instead. But when he entered the next room, the congregation was gone. The pews were all empty, the room was still, save for one single person standing in the middle of it, an empty smile on her features. Madeline Brooks. "You went through a lot of effort for me, Mr. Long," Madeline said with a slight chuckle, folding her hands in front of her. "Not for you," Johnny huffed and puffed out, his breath completely gone, and his shoulder hurting like a motherfucker now that he'd smashed through 2 doors with it, which must be at least twice the recommended door smashing for a man his age.
Unless it's back doors, am I right?
Hey!
For the actual Madeline, not a fucking bug piloting her corpse around. "I am Madeline, Mr. Long," the young girl said with a tilt of her head and a soft frown. "Are you okay? You said you were looking for me, and when you found me, you said you'd be right back. And now you're acting kind of crazy. You said to wait here and you'd take me back to my parents. I miss them so much. It's been a week since I got lost down here." "You guys are really shitting the bed with this gaslighting now," Johnny groaned out, rubbing the wound on his head through the bandages. "At least put some fucking effort into it."
In the hole. In the hole.
"Okay, how about this? I know they took your gun, and I'm gonna rip you apart piece by fucking piece. And they can sew you back together to do your destined duty. Is that more real for you? Is that more real?" Madeline's voice began to distort the longer the sentence went on, her body beginning to convulse and her shoulders dislocating backwards all at once. Crunching, grinding bone and sinew inside of her caused ripples across the surface of her skin. "Yeah, but they didn't take Gordy's," Johnny said plainly. "Huh?" The distorted, demonic voice of Madeline escaped from deep inside her throat as she began to crack open. Johnny reached to the back of his belt underneath his jacket and instantly produced a snub-nosed revolver, which he began unloading directly into the midsection of Madeline, just in time for it to split open and reveal the disgusting, blood-soaked, black, hairy freak inside of her corpse. Instead of human blood flying from the wounds, the bullets instead pierced directly into the body of the insectoid monstrosity inside of her and sent purplish-black blood spiking out into the open air, followed by the screeching cry of the horror itself. Madeline Brooks's human shell fell over forward, causing the thing inside of her to begin to flail and grasp with its long segmented spider's legs against the ground, trying to escape its flesh prison around it. Johnny took to running once more, to the old wooden front door of the church this time. He yanked the door open, revealing Gordy's dead body exactly where he'd left it, beginning to decay slightly as it sank further into the mud.
There's where I put that.
He momentarily thought about taking the corpse with him, to try to atone for what he'd done, but decided that Gordy fucking sucked and no one cared that he was dead. He instead slammed the wooden door shut behind him and took off running back out of the long dirt tunnel. He ran at a full tilt as hard as he could, out of the tunnel, into the cellar, up the old wooden steps, and into the gigantic empty field. The sun was coming up, brightly filtering through the wafting leaves of the trees at the edge of the field. He could even see his car from here. Johnny drove over the speed limit. Couldn't really blame him. He'd been having a pretty rough day. He was frantic, his mind trying to purposely forget everything he had seen, everything he had gone through, but still trying to figure out where he could possibly be safe to go. God damn it, he muttered under his breath, his voice shaky and his eyes wide. He looked in the rearview mirror to see if he was being followed, but saw no other cars. He caught a glimpse of himself in the reflection, and the bandage around his head. He gritted his teeth. God fucking damn it! He yanked the wheel to the side, suddenly remembering where the closest place to the scene of the crime was that he could go. It was only a shame it wouldn't be safe whatsoever. The elevator dinged as the doors slid open, revealing the bullpen of the Davenport agency. Every occupied desk filled with someone in business casual doing their damnedest to seem busy enough for a paycheck. Some were on the phone, others typing on computers. A few were gabbing at the water cooler. But when Johnny Long stepped into the room, covered in dirt, grime, and blood, with a wild look in his eyes, brandishing a snub-nosed revolver, every single one of them stopped dead and stared at him. "Fuck off! I've had enough of being stared at today!" Johnny screamed out, raising his pistol into the air. Everyone in the room began silently exchanging glances with one another. O'Neill, one of the younger guys working the floor, who Johnny had kind of taken under his wing before, silently stood up and began to sidle towards him. "Yo, Long, what's up, man? You don't look so good." "I don't want to fucking hear it, O'Neill. I know you all think I'm the one who killed Calder, but it wasn't me, it was fucking Gordon," Johnny snapped, sweeping the barrel of the revolver across the room and causing everyone to duck away from him and yell. "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?" O'Neill cried out, throwing his hands up in the air as if he was under arrest to try and calm his friend. "Please, just put the gun down, man. We can talk about this." Johnny walked slowly around the room, staying at the edge of the bullpen with his back to the wall and his gun pointed at each person he passed in turn. Nobody moved. They all watched with terrified looks on their faces, their bodies completely motionless in the futile hope he wouldn't go postal on them if they didn't provoke it. Once reaching his desk, Johnny shoved all of the accumulated pizza boxes, empty Chinese takeout, and papers off of his desk onto the floor at once. The loud thud caused everyone to wince. He quickly yanked a drawer out and produced a switchblade from it, then shut it back with another large bang that made the assembled group all flinch at once. "Don't fucking follow me, don't fucking call the cops, and don't fucking run your mouths. I'll be right back, goddammit," Johnny screamed, pointing his pistol up into the air and opening fire once. "Ah!" came a scream from upstairs, followed by a loud thud of a body hitting the ground.
Yeah, man.
"Holy shit, he's fucking dead!" a muffled voice screamed from up above. Everyone in the bullpen stared silently. That was an accident. Don't follow me! Johnny ducked around the room and yanked
some accountant office and gets shot to death.
Johnny ducked around the room and yanked the bathroom door open, ducking inside of it quickly. He ran across the room to the end of the stalls and grabbed that one massive stone and metal trash can that every corporate bathroom has for some reason, and shoved it as hard as he could across the floor in front of the bathroom door to barricade it. Johnny leaned against the sink, staring wide-eyed and trembling into the mirror in front of him. He didn't recognize the cornered wild animal that was staring back at him any longer, but he went to work just the same. He drew the switchblade up and flicked the blade out, carefully fitting it beneath the bandage around his head and slitting it from top to bottom with a quick flick of the wrist. The bandage slowly slid from his brow and fell to the linoleum at his feet. The breath left him at the reveal of the blood-red circle on his head, just above the eyebrow and to the side of the temple, exactly where it had been on Evelyn Brooks, exactly where it had been on all of them. They had put that fucking thing inside of him and incubated it in his brain. No wonder he was losing his fucking mind. He hyperventilated, but he had no bag to breathe into. He felt like it didn't really matter anymore anyway. His mind raced, his heart beat up in his throat, his teeth gritted all together at once. Even knowing exactly what he had to do to escape this nightmare didn't make it any easier for him in that moment. "Come on, Johnny," he whispered to himself, his voice shaking. "Come on." He gripped the switchblade in his hand and tried to steady it, but couldn't, his entire body shaking like he was going into shock finally. "Come on!" he screamed, gripping onto the switchblade with both hands and driving it directly into the center of the red circle in his forehead, causing a spurt of blood to spatter on the mirror in front of him and for his knees to almost give out from under him from the pain. Something was squirming and writhing and fighting beneath the blade. His vision was blurring.
Pussy.
What?
Fucking pussy.
I wouldn't even have winced. His vision was blurring and whiting out. His hands were becoming slippery with red and purplish black blood, but he began to dip with the tip of his blade, screaming at the top of his lungs as he did. Dig with the tip of his blade. Someone was beating on the door to the bathroom behind him. There were overlapping voices screaming something or another, but none of it registered as anything other than background static, as he felt the tip of the blade slide into something that didn't hurt him for a change. He wrenched the blade back like a fulcrum, and then withdrew it from the deep gashing hole in his forehead. Wriggling half dead at the tip of his blade was an 8-legged, black-furred insectoid freak about twice the size of a golf ball, hissing out its last breath from behind human teeth before falling limp on the blade. The beating at the door became more distant then. The voices faded into the distance. Johnny felt himself spinning, though his hands were still limply holding onto the sides of the sink. The switchblade clattered to the ground, sending a spray of purplish-black blood onto the wall, just as he finally lost consciousness, hitting the linoleum hard, only a moment later. The room came back into focus momentarily once or twice. Voices flittered into the darkness above him. "What do we do now?" Rose called her ass plainly, her voice distorting in the spinning malaise of Johnny's vision. "Without the first scion." "We'll take him back to Reverend Voice," O'Neill said just as plainly, his half-lidded gaze down at Johnny belaying complete lack of care for his physical well-being. "He'll know what to do next." The room was spinning so hard that Johnny could barely hang on any longer. "It'll be fine," Gordon G. Gordon said, staring down at him with derision. "He may be the first scion, but there are others."
Fucking
Then the room went completely dark. Johnny's eyes fluttered in the darkness. The world began to come back into view once more. The room wasn't familiar any longer, but it was instantly recognizable all the same. Johnny clawed at the ground, trying to set himself upright and having an incredibly hard time of it. "No," he whispered to himself in a hoarse voice he barely registered as his own. He clawed at the soft floor enough to push himself upright and stumbled across the small room to the mirror under a soft halogen light at one side of it. He looked at his own face, but it was gaunt looking back at him. There was a horrible wound on his forehead, which has been bandaged yet again, but this time with standard bandaging and gauze. The change in dressing did nothing to settle his unfathomable fear. The room, which had become instantly recognizable to him, was straight out of 100 different movies he'd seen, documentaries on the mentally unwell, television specials about hospitals. This room was the padded room of a madman. "No," he groaned out louder, stumbling across the soft floor to the padded door with its barred window. He grasped onto the small opening as tightly as he could and pressed his mouth to it, screaming out of it loudly. "Please, I'm not crazy. You have to believe me," he screamed himself hoarse. "They're gonna kill us all. The monsters, they're gonna kill us all. They're inside us. I swear it. I can show it to you, please. The Sin Eaters." He gasped a wrath of unsteady breath, then screamed once more, "The Umbral Board is coming!" His voice echoed endlessly down the cold metal hallway outside his door, falling on deaf ears everywhere it traveled. The end.
My God!
Fucking Gordy, I called it.
The fuck?
Or did I?
The end.
Oh my god, that was so good. That was so good. I don't like the part about the digging in the brain, but
I knew it was gonna set some people. I knew people were not gonna like that part.
Darren Aronofsky over here, fucking Jesus, man.
It's very, I mean this in a nice way, it's very reminiscent of the Far Beyond the Stars sequel where Benny Russell is in the
How dare you?
insane asylum, and it's also very reminiscent of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer where Buffy's in the insane asylum as well and isn't convinced that what she's...
Well,
I like those sorts of...
I will say that of course I've seen the Deep Space Nine.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I've seen the Buffy one, so
It's
I've
good.
only ripped off one of them.
It's reminiscent of when Buffy's in the insanely hot asylum. Am I right?
I mean, she's still insanely hot. Like, the years have been very kind to Sarah Michelle Gellar. But I like those sorts of, like, self-doubt-y, Jacob's Ladder type stories.
If people have been paying attention to this story, like, really closely, like, I'll go ahead and fucking spill the beans a little bit on something now that it's over.
Don't.
I just think it's, like, he blamed the thing in his head for making him go crazy. Like, eagle-eared listeners know that he was, like, seeing visions way before the...
Yeah.
I like that the like bump on their head or the wound is the moon. It's the moon itself.
Yep, it's also the red mark on the door to the church.
Well, and it's like the ring is reminiscent of the big hole in the floor as well, and
Absolutely.
and the bullet holes, and
And your big red hole.
Your big butt hole, your big brown hole.
Big brown, red, brown butt
and like
hole.
the hole that sits at the center of me that is empty, where a heart and the soul should be.
Yep.
When I came up with this, I was like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to put jokes in this." So I'm going to test the limits of people giving me the right not to put jokes in things.
You don't have to give them the. You can just do whatever you want.
And I
just
did.
do whatever you want. Yeah, and it was great.
Thank you.
So fuck them. Fuck them.
Except the
everyone.
ones we love.
Except the patrons.
I mean, yeah, you did say it was gonna have borderline no jokes in it, and it didn't have very many jokes, but it didn't stop it being a good story. So I think sometimes, like, sometimes you want to finish off a story in a way that doesn't have a lot of jokes in. Like, you know, I did a self-abortion last season. That wasn't exactly fucking skipping through the daisies.
That's called suicide.
Yeah. Well, if a life isn't
unaliving oneself.
If a person hasn't been born yet, I mean, and they're not like 3 months in,
you're
or
gonna make my head
whatever.
hurt. You're gonna make my head hurt.
Just
But, like,
say any of it.
I'm not even on the migraine medicine, so it's gonna hit me.
But
Yo, I'm fucking high as fuck, dude, and that scared the piss out of my dick.
I mean,
I was writing it like, man, this is like intense. This is some intense shit.
I mean, there's still questions about whether or not he is insane or not.
Yeah, we just don't know.
I love that. Like, is he insane or is the world insane? I love it.
Well, also, like, there could legitimately, and this is like, this is part of the joy of this season from you so far. There's parts of this that could be real, and there's parts of it that could, if he has something pressing against his brain, that doesn't mean that everything he's seen has been real.
True.
Has he tried taking the migraine medicine?
That's why you're on that medicine. Have you tried to press? Have you tried to
kills all the
press?
sin eaters in my brain.
This episode, of course, ties directly into the first episode of the season that was unrelated to this, but it is related to this. It turns out there were a lot of clues about that as well. Is he crazy? Did any of this actually happen? I don't know. I mean, for people who were like, of course it happened because this, and this. How come this cult doesn't seem to know anything about the acolytes of the third birth? How come there's no mention of that? If they're both after the Umbral Born and the other moon and shit, how come?
It's like
But if you
Lutherans
think-
and Catholics.
But if you think it's all fake, then how come other people have seen some of the shit that happened as well? I don't know.
I don't know who to believe. I don't know who to believe.
I choose
All I know
no one.
All I know is I want my next body to be a writhing mass of human suffering.
It is.
How is it
Your
not
current
already?
one is.
Oh, wait. You're right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So good.
It's over.
Is it though?
I'm going to have nightmares tonight, and I'm going to call you at like 3 in the morning because I know you'll be awake.
Yeah.
Is that? Wait a minute. So you'll be on Jeff and my time?
Yeah.
That's when we talk.
Yeah, that's you guys' time. Sorry,
My
I don't mean to
shift.
butt in. It's your shift. Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's 3.
England calling.
That's 3 stories down. So we're going to close the cover on today's episode. Let's
Stinky
bring,
cover.
let's bring up the prompt generator. The first one is Squirrels by Austin Logan.
Squirrels. All right. I don't know how to spell that.
Squirrels, I believe.
There's no E-L-S. It's just L-S.
Squirrels. Uh-huh.
What? There's an E in it.
Squirrels.
Squirrels.
You said E-L-E-S.
No, I said ELS.
I'll
kill you.
ELS.
The next one is Stalactites by Gemini Elf.
This is
Yeah, but you know how to spell that.
This is a very difficult to spell series of prompts.
They are the ones that come down from the ceiling. Mm-hmm. Just for all our listeners.
They're tight to the ceiling.
Yeah. Tight,
Stalagmites.
but right.
I might know what a stalagmite is.
Tight,
That's it,
but
that's
right. Okay, so that's it. So I'm going to whiz through this because we've probably taken up enough of your time. Patreon.com/Storylords. Go support us there. You get access to all the extra stuff we do, including something that we have to record after this in layman's terms. Which is why I'm kind of rushing. Storylords is on YouTube once per week. If you want to find out anything about the show or see the art, go to storylords.page or storylords.card.co. That's card with 2 R's. Keep reviewing us on iTunes, please, or your podcast listening machine of choice. Thank you, Patreon fans.
Radio.
Use your internet machine.
Thank you, Patreon
What the
fans.
hell?
I'm not going to read out your names this time. It's been a hell of a long episode. Thank you to Vidazen. You can find out about Vidazen, who does our music, at vidazen.card.co. Support us on Audible. And yeah, there you go. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We love you.
Oh, bye.
Bye.
I love you guys. Bye.